Welcome, everybody, to the Making It Awesome podcast. This is episode 238, all about materials and why they matter. You know, it's something that as we get a little bit deeper into the business focus of the show, hopefully we can do that at some point.
How long have we been trying to do a business focused string of episodes? Not just one, but two in a
Like,
row.
we totally could, but we would miss so many really interesting news topics to talk about. And it's like, well, do we just send the whole idea of a business focused show and just ignore the news? Do we break up the business focused episodes? I never know the right thing to do on this, you know?
Mhm.
That's a
Hmm.
that's a tough one.
It really is. You could always do shorter segments where we talk less about it, but I do feel like when we talk more about these sort of topics, we get into a level of depth that is more interesting to view.
I
At least
mean,
I think so.
we think so, but I guess that we will leave that one up to the viewers themselves. And whether you are thinking about dipping your toes into this, looking at starting a business in 3D printing, whether you're just a hobbyist, maybe looking to pay for your filament, or you're just enjoy listening to us talk, I guess.
Don't know why. Don't know why you do that.
Well, if you're having a good time, at least make sure to leave a like, get subscribed, support the sponsors of the show, including Construct 3D, the UK's fastest and first bamboo 3D printer. Check them out, construct-3d.com. With the Construct 2 coming soon, TM. I have seen some artwork for it. Very nice. Machine that is a business class machine for a business class environment, designed for lights out manufacturing in a safe, productive manner. What else do we have on that? Actually, that's
Oh,
probably
can,
pretty
can
good.
you even call it lights out manufacturing when there's
Yes.
lights inside the machine?
You can turn them off, can't you?
No, it's a safety feature.
It's impossible to turn off the interior lights on the machine.
Yup, it's a safety feature because they're color coordinated for the state of the machine.
I was going to say, what if I'm just not running the machine? Well, Grant, why did you buy it if you're not going to run it?
That machine is designed to be a 24-hour machine.
That's fair. Yeah. So lights out manufacturing is more of a colloquial term
I'm being
for...
facetious.
Okay,
I
all
know what
right.
lights out mean. It's more like, can you call it lights out when there's always lights?
What if I just cut the wires to those lights?
Oh, no, 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 no. Come on. This is a right to repair machine. You unplug the wires to the lights because everything's quick connectors.
Yeah, because I've never cut lights to printers live on the channel before and had to solder them back on.
And this is why everything is a quick connector. So you could just take the entire wire out.
Oh, that would be so nice. This one was not,
Oh,
and it was
we
like,
found some really nice
oh,
it's not JST, it's like industrial rail certified connectors that you can get for surprisingly cheap. They're like flame retardant and everything, but they click in and you can screw them in so there's no risk of them coming out.
ooh.
But they're universal, so you don't even need to crimp anything. You put them in, you put a screw in, it's done. So it's the best of both, quick connector and screw locking. So it's like, we
I
gotta
just
go with
want
them.
everything to be Wago terminals. Like, just God, they're so good. As an American, where Wagos are not, or Wagos, or whatever the hell you want to call them, where they're not a standard, it does upset me quite a bit. Because our standard is wire nuts, which they're just archaic and terrible and just everything. It's just so bad. Uh, Anyways, I'm getting very far away from the topic at this point, but huge thank you again to Printed Solid as well for sponsoring the filament giveaway that we have here on the channel. You could enter it in the pinned chat message. Don't forget, if you do want to help support the channel, allow us to continue to do ad-free streams like we do. You can donate for a couple of bucks. You can do monthly donations to get access to the Discord at the $10 tier and higher, where you can hang out with Jacob, myself, and the entire 3D Musketeers crew, where we do a special after the show hangout live in the Discord. And if you're awesome, like view at your own risk with the $4.99, saying, do you think Index has a place in the industrial 3D printer space, a la Construct 3D, Vision Miner, etc.? The short answer is yes. The long answer will be answered theoretically sometime before this episode is over. But yes, 100% I do.
100%. And of course, how can we not thank 3D Musketeers themselves for being here, bringing you this entire show, and also running a load of stuff behind the scenes. So if you are interested in anything 3D scanning, where honestly, I still don't understand how you get so many cool jobs for the 3D scanning, only mildly jealous as you pick up some stupidly expensive equipment. But if you're interested in anything 3D scanning, any modeling, any CAD design, like 3D Musketeers is perfectly suited to be able to help you. If you need consultation as well, they have probably some of the best industry knowledge where they can give that to you as part of the consultancy and really help you get going faster. And of course, how can we not mention 3D printing? Because they do so much 3D printing to probably one of the highest standards I've seen from any commercial like printing service. I've seen some pretty bad printing services out there.
Dude, I have too.
You do not want to risk it on them.
Like,
so if you want something 3D printed, go to the people who actually care about what they print, and you will get something good out of that. So
we
3D
do.
Musketeers, go see them.
Like the gentleman that sent us a message at 3 o'clock in the morning. I got back to him a little bit after 7, and I was going to try to get him the part the same day because he was, I need this as soon as possible. We gave him a price. He's like, that's way more than I was expecting. I'm like, you want it the same day? Like, yeah, I'm going to charge you $50 to do it. Like that's not a lot of money.
That's good.
I mean, I was just going to toss on one of the Prussias behind us, but it was one of those cases of like, if you want it today, you can pay for it today. If all of a sudden now it doesn't have such a big need anymore, well, we'll lower the price. But anyways. Yeah, materials, dude. There's a lot of options. And especially when we start to get into like the nitty-gritty of like the specific different blends of materials, you can get hundreds of thousands of combinations for materials. Like just PLA alone, which is probably the most ubiquitous material. It is not my favorite. Not a huge fan of PLA. It's not a bad material, but living in Florida, PLA is often more of a problem than it is a solution. And
especially if you're in a hotter country, PLA is more of an indoor only material.
Yep.
You can't get away with putting it outdoors. If your ambient temperature regularly hits 30, you can't put it outdoors.
Oh yeah. Right now the ambient temperature is 30, and it is not as hot as it's going to get today. And it's cloudy and likely going to rain. So, but like now we look at all these blends, like, and the one that specifically comes to mind for PLA is that PLA HT from Polymaker, which we have no idea what's in it. We have no idea what they've added to it.
I don't even know if you could call it PLA at this stage.
That's kind of what I was going to get at with it, is like, when do we stop calling PLA PLA? And when do we just start calling it a copolymer? Which, okay, fair, PLA is a copolymer, as it is. You might hear people say copolyester. That is the PET level of things. That is a polyester. A PLA is closer to a regular copolymer.
Every blended material is a copolymer, but not every blended material is a copolyester. Polyester is a type of material.
Right. And PLA being a polylactic acid, it is corn-based. originally, like when we all first started the industry, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, PLA is biodegradable, man. It's safe for the environment, man." It's
It
not.
is
No, it's not.
asterisk asterisk asterisk.
It has to be under the most ideal conditions that the average person will never be able to meet, right? And
Are
that's
you saying
where
you don't have an industrial biodegradable like center right next to you? Like just oh yes, I'll put
I
it in
mean,
the 85 degrees
I
industrial
have a
biodegrader
fire
that I
pit.
keep in my garage.
I have a
That's
fire.
not biodegrading. That's just advanced carbonization.
That is degrading, and it lends itself to being in the environment, right? It's biodegrading, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like where you're supposed to put your batteries in your local lake.
Do not put batteries in the lake, please.
Makes the water taste funny.
That's how electric eels exist. Um, but PLA, it's funny because like when we had a retail store, and this will be one of those like things that date the retail store, but when we had our retail store, uh, Pokemon Go was just announced, right? And we were maybe 6 months in, and we figured out a way to get listed as a gym. So it was like one of the easiest marketing things we ever did, but we hung the gym symbols from our sign. We had a hanging sign, and we hung those. They were PLA. They were fine. What we found was that as long as it wasn't a dark color, which none of them were, it was yellow, blue, and red, right? They're not dark colors. If they don't absorb a lot of that infrared radiation from the sun, their surface temperature doesn't get hot enough. Add on to it the fact that, you're not squeezing them, so even if they are a little soft, there's no real way to know. PLA worked fine. The funny thing that we found with them was that they were degrading rapidly in the UV. The actual UV light was causing the pigment to bleach out of the material, and then it would get brittle and fail. It was a very, very interesting way to watch something fail. And this happened over the course of like 3 months, right? So it wasn't a short process. Now, this shop faced east. So you had direct sun basically through 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And it was blisteringly hot. So yeah, it was a little bit offensive for what we were doing with the UV exposure, but this was also UV and PLA back in like 2016. So it's a very different world now where we look at these PLAs that, like, a lot of companies that sell you PLA, we've talked with Mitch from Polar Filament about this, but a lot of companies that sell you PLA are actually not selling you PLA. They're selling you some blend. They often use talc as a filler because it's cheaper than the raw material. And talc prints fine-ish, but it is like one of those things as a consumer, like, what are you paying for? Are you paying for raw material, or are you paying for filler, right?
I mean, there's also like the entire aspect of, let's assume it is 100% PLA, no filler.
Mm-hmm.
You still don't know what the PLA is because you don't know what the raw stock resin is being used.
Yep.
So like we said it in, I think it was Making Awesome 226, where every polymer is a plastic, but not every plastic is a polymer. Where you can have two different, completely different plastics, both of them are PLA. And it's all about the additives that they add. So any like PLA, raw PLA still has additives. It will have
Yeah.
an antioxidant. It will have some other things in it because it stabilizes the material for actual use.
And the colorant,
And
right?
nobody tells you what it is. Like, I'm ignoring colorant for this because colorant can be its own thing. But like just like the raw resin needs stabilizing to be used. It's the whole point of how plastics are made. Where you get that resin from can change the behavior of the material, like
Yep.
drastically. I know some suppliers that use very high quality resin. I know some that use very low quality resin. I know some that also use high quality, but they're from a different supplier, so they do different things. Like it's they're there is a lack of clarity when it comes to polymer science, mostly because our industry shouldn't need to know it. But it is helpful. It is really helpful to know when you're trying to dial decisions in.
There's a couple of things there, right? It's not just because like the average consumer doesn't care, but it's also the 11 herbs and spices that make each blend different. Like, I would love to know what Polymaker puts into their PLAHT to make it high temperature capable. I don't need to know the ratios or anything like that. I want to know what they're using. To me, that's something that's important. Now, the vast majority of you, if you're looking to do business, you will need to buy from suppliers that you can verify, that you can certify. If you're just doing 3D printing as a hobby, as, for fun, who cares, right? It's not that big of a deal. But when you start making parts that are hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for people, they need that level of certainty that what they are getting is a pure material. And that might cost you more money. Now, hilariously, one of the companies that is very forward about giving you all of this is Polymaker. They provide you with, TDS and SDSs for pretty much every material that they have, but they don't generally provide you with like the pure breakdown, which I get it. But at the same time, as a business, I want to offer PLAHT, but I can't guarantee what's in it. So we simply can't offer it, because if we do get a bad batch for some reason, we have no method of quality control and understanding if maybe this is the standard and the other batches were bad, but they were just working okay for us. There isn't a bona fide standard to compare it to. And that is where material science starts to just, fly away here. And we run into companies that you have to look at them and say, do you care more about your product or do you care more about your profit? And if you care heavily about your product, you're going to provide this detail. You're going to, allow people to see how it's made and everything that's in it. And if you don't, then I question why.
I mean, it's not even that. It's sometimes, say you have a product and you have a production standard that you're used to. Like
Sure.
this literally happened to me last week. So you remember Dave Harvey, how we made
Yeah.
the air intakes for him.
Yep.
So we're doing another batch for him at the moment, and I ran out of PETG. So I put another reel of PETG in the machine from the same supplier, same material, except different batch. All of a sudden, the settings that were working perfectly for the past like 6 batches weren't working on this batch. That something has changed down the line.
Yep.
And that's again comes down to trusting a specific supplier once you find them.
Yep.
Because if you go to, say, a cheaper blend, like you go to just an Amazon seller instead of to a nice like factory outlet, you don't know which batches they are
No.
or if they keep the quality control between batches. Normally, you find a supplier, you stick with them. And this is something that I was told really early on was even if you can save money going to a cheaper brand and they have all the same thing, don't. Because
Yeah.
once you've got your settings down, stick with them. Trying to eke out a little bit more percentage is not worth the risk of it ruining everything else.
It's
And in this
really not.
case, it's one of
Yeah.
those risks is we used a very good supplier, and I need to send them an email actually because I think I found an issue with like one reel in a batch. And because I know that they use the exact same settings every single time, and I've validated their material is that quality, I now know when something's wrong instead of going, well, is it just they put a different blend in because that's what they had? Because you get that. You do
Yep.
get companies that will be like, it's within a tolerance of this, we'll throw it in, it will be fine. Or like we'll change the temperature of the extruder when they're extruding the material just at will. And you can't do that when you're doing business because
No.
you want uniformity above anything else.
Yeah, uniformity matters a ton. I'm about to tell you guys a story. I want to be clear that I am not abandoning this
Story time.
this supplier. So I've been having issues with Polar filament lately.
Oh,
To the extent that for the first time in a long time, I have thrown away material.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty serious.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What went wrong?
The material that was ordered. So we chose Polar for a particular job that we were working on where speed mattered most, right? At some point we're going up to Polar to film with them. So like, and Mitch has been on the show before. Mitch and I are good friends. Like, we have each other's personal cell phone numbers, level of friends. I trust this guy and I trust his company. I have about 50 kilos of his material sitting in our shop right now. Only because I have a the customer that we bought it all for is currently undergoing some changes, and things are a little slow right now, but we're traditionally going through about 40 to 50 kilos a month. An entire batch that we got, like a couple of boxes of material, was heavily contaminated. We don't know with what. It is some sort of trash because you can see it. It's got speckles in the filament. It doesn't generally
Interesting.
show up and it doesn't generally cause problems, but every now and then it does. And for the average everyday user, it kind of is what it is. But when we're doing parts that are 6 kilos each and will take 4 to 5 days to print, if you lose a 5 kilo print at day 4 when it's a 4.5 day print, you don't care about the material cost. You care about the time. And so, like, I've been working with Mitch on this, and he's like, look, we'll take care of all the bad material. Just hold on to this, tell me the batch numbers. He said, because, we'll cover the cost. I said, Mitch, it's never about the cost. I don't want money from you guys, right? I don't care about that. It's the time. Well, lo and behold, these conversations have pushed Polar to be finding new suppliers.
Oh, oh wow.
And so this is for their PETG, by the way, which we love. When it works great, son of a gun, it is the fastest PETG that I've ever used. And to put it into perspective, this PETG prints at 220. Its regular temps are 220, and it is pure PETG. It's pure, right? But whoever they were buying it from was contaminating it. We don't know with what, why, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It had a contamination. And it happened enough times that they're now looking at other suppliers. So while, yes, there was a problem, they took care of it in a way that I never expected. Right? You kind of just expect, all right, yeah, here's your money, whatever. He said, if you run into any spools that have issues and there's more than half the roll left, please send it back. We want to check it. We want to try it. We want to see and be able to duplicate, what you're going through. And when, like, an average production run for them, or a small production run of PETG, is 100 to 150 kilos, and we order half of that, okay, the chances of you having a bad roll in that when you are getting contaminated raw material is pretty high, right? But because we go through it so quickly, we run into these issues. They have been so good at working with us. And he's like, all right, I've got these 3 new suppliers we're looking at. As soon as we can run them through, I'm going to send you samples in the colors that you order so you can check them and give us your feedback. You want to talk about customer service?
That's customer service.
So a bigger company is just going to give you your money back and tell you to screw off, right? Oh, you don't like this? Here's your money back. Buy from us when you feel like it's good again. Polar acknowledged the issue. He's like, normally, Mitch said, normally we would go through and troubleshoot, but I feel like you've already done all of this and you kind of know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I am not calling you the first time I have a failure. I'm calling you the 5th time that I've had a failure, and I've done everything that I would normally do and some things that I normally don't. He's like,
You're the type of person that will call after you've exhausted everything that could be on your side.
right. And, I said, look, I'm calling as a customer. I'm not calling as a friend, right? Because I want, it's like, look, I know that we have a personal relationship, but I don't want that to come into play. And he didn't. He's like, no, this is exactly how we would do it for anyone. He's like, yes, the fact that I know that you know what you're doing means we're not going to go through the regular tech support stuff because that's a waste of everybody's time. So, because of my issues, they are looking for new suppliers and are like getting in new suppliers of better material. Dude, that's just
That's impressive.
that is how you earn my business, right? It is not about having perfect material. Nobody will have perfect material. I've had bad material from Polar Filament, Printed Solid, 3DX Tech. Huh. Get a bad roll of carbon fiber nylon that's $80 a kilo and tell me how good you feel about that. Atomic Filament, Push Plastic, Protopasta. I've gotten bad rolls from everybody because statistically speaking, it's going to happen, right? And normally it's just, oh, the roll's very wet. And it was wet from the factory, so you have to dry it for a couple of days. No big deal. But it is always about how these companies handle the problems that set them apart from their competition. Because to me, as a business owner, if the roll's bad, I don't know that until I'm using it. I care about how you handle that kind of thing. And the companies that we choose to continue to do business with, like, everyone that I've mentioned, all those companies that I mentioned, we continue to do business with because they have always had above expected levels of customer support. In fact, they're starting to set the standard for what we expect. And it's kind of frustrating because very few other companies can do it. And it means that even though we've had some rough experiences and some speed bumps here and there, we will continue to do business with them because of the way they handled it, right? So if you're sitting there saying, I had a bad roll, or this roll doesn't work, or that roll doesn't work, or this color doesn't work, reach out to the company. They might have tips and tricks for you, but that communication is what matters. Like, the first time I called Polar, I called their corporate phone number from my corporate phone number. Who answered the phone, Jacob? Who answered the phone?
I'm going to assume probably someone pretty high up.
It was
so
Mitch.
Maybe Mitch themselves.
Yeah, Mitch is the one that answered the effing phone. It's like, Polar Filament, this is Mitch. Hey, Mitch, it's Grant. Oh, hey, Grant, how's it going? I said, not too bad, but I've got some problems. I said, I've sent you a DM on Discord so you can see the photos. What's going on? He's like, oh, crap. He's like, let me go check. He's like, all right, let's have a talk. And we had like a 45-minute phone call. And he's like, I don't want to give you excuses. I want to give you solutions. Buddy, like, from a business level, respect. That's respect to me. And a company that just says, here's your money back, go away, that's not what I want. I want a company that's going to work with me. So while, yes, I've had some issues, and in fact, oh, you can't see any of them. Sometimes you'll see like weird big white or big black parts in the background that are there for a couple of weeks. If they're there for more than a week, they're probably bad. And we're holding them for sample testing so that we can get them all tested to see if it is contaminated or if there is something else going on. These are the kind of companies that I want to do business with. Nobody's going to be perfect. It is always about how you deal with your problems that sets you apart from others. That is the difference. So, Grant tangent aside on this, having someone and a company that you can trust, like you said, Jacob, even if it costs you a little bit more money, is worth it.
Yep.
From a business perspective, and I get kind of hated on for this in the like 3D print farmer subreddits that I'm a part of, like, they hate on me for this. You know, where they're
They
like,
hate
oh,
on
well,
you for buying more expensive material.
yeah, and saying if you're worried about the price of your filament, your price is too low. Well, no, you know, we all have to compete on price. No, we don't. No, we simply
No.
don't. Right?
Like, if you are in an industry where cutting £1 per reel is enough for you to go to a new supplier, you need to legitimately rethink why you're doing that. Like, yes, it could be you are trying to eke out every like profit margin you can get. But in reality, like, imagine if adding like saving £1 per reel gives you £100 a day. It's like, oh wow, £100 a day, that's a lot of money. That's a wage for someone. That's all of that. It's like, yes, you're right. But imagine if that had caveats. Like, you are hiring another person with that savings.
Yep.
But what if that entire person's job is maintaining the machines because they're failing more often because you went to a slightly cheaper material? It is not as straightforward as just we've got to compete on price. It never is. If it was that simple, every filament would cost the same and be the same quality. It's not. It's just not.
Not all PLAs, PETGs, TPU, whatever, they're not created equal. And having that relationship is so much more valuable to me as a business. And if I'm sitting there trying to eke out every cent of profit because I'm, you know, just cutting my prices lower and lower and lower to try to gain market share, I'm in the wrong business. The idea of having your business as like your target audience as a pie, right? Don't fight over the same slice as other people. If all these people are trying to fight over who's the cheapest, don't be the cheapest. Be the person that's providing a concierge environment, a, you know, really, really nice, good customer support, right? And outside of that one lady who probably deleted an email from us and left us a bad review saying we never replied to her, when we even provided her with server logs that she still said it's not in my inbox, so it doesn't matter to me. Every single person that's left a review for us has talked about the customer support and customer service that we provide to people. We are not a low-cost provider. That's not our goal. We don't, like, as funny as it is, I don't want my machines running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't want that. Because if we have machines that are running 24/7, we don't have enough machines. Because as soon as one of your 24/7 machines goes down and you don't have a backup for it, you're screwed. You now can't meet demand. We have machinery running at all times pretty much, but it's not anywhere near our full capacity. Because as a business, when someone says, hey, I need this fast, or I need this today, tomorrow, and I'm willing to pay for it, hey, I'll go warm up some printers. I got you, fam. Don't worry about it. But if you're like, I need this as cheap as possible, hey, you know, we greatly appreciate you reaching out to us. Unfortunately, we are not a low-cost provider in the industry. Here are some people that we can recommend that, in my opinion, don't understand the value of their own time. Best of luck. Take care. And that's my email to them. For us, we want to provide a better experience. That is what matters to us. So whether we're paying $5 a kilo, $20 a kilo, or $30 a kilo does not matter. Yes.
I mean, it comes down to that difference between you care about the product that you produce,
yeah,
the product that they need, versus somebody who is just putting it in a slicer and printing it out and then putting it in a box.
We provide
There's a
solutions.
very big mindset difference.
Yeah, we provide solutions. We don't make parts. We make solutions. And that's the big differentiation that I think is between companies like 3D Musketeers and, you know, big print farmers, you know, like ones that will do the flexi toy Etsy sellers, right? They provide a product. We provide a solution. And while you might look at our sales and say, oh, well, they're absolutely obliterating you on sales. Okay. What about net profit?
Sales might not be the metric you need to be measuring by.
You know, honestly, a sales figure Dude, I can buff up my sales numbers too. If I'm doing it at cost, then having $1 million in sales, but 1% profit is terrible versus $100,000 in sales and, at least 80% of that being profit. Like, you look at the way you want to do business. And for me, since we don't have a lot of staff here locally, a lot of our staff are remote, it doesn't make sense for us to run high volume, low margin. We want to run low volume, high margin. So those that have ever wondered about the behind the scenes of of 3D Musketeers and why we kind of are the way that we are, it's because I care a lot about my time and I price it heavily. I mean, if people don't like that, that's okay with me. And as David Connor Shover says with the $5, product consistency is a must. Yes, and thank you, sir. Greatly appreciated. And, hey, ad-free streams, he's supporting that. So thank you for supporting those ad-free streams. We love you for it.
See how many likes we've got while we've got a little interruption. Because
only
there's
30 likes. 116
viewers. Come on, bump those numbers up, guys.
Like the stream, thank you.
It looks great on the metrics. Do it just to piss YouTube off. Don't do it for us. Do it to spite somebody else.
Do it for like the 3 Bambu fanboys that are continuing to go into the comments or videos and say, that's not a fire, that's just melted plastic.
Oh, that's going to be its own video. That has to be its own video because...
If all goes well, I already have at least one burned A1 power supply coming to us. So, which we will be handing off to a professional to get professionally analyzed and looked at to determine the failure mode, if it is a component issue or something like that. And I am debating on buying an A1 and thermaling it myself.
That would be fun.
And as Net7
really
says,
fun.
The gamer nexus approach. Yeah. Diomedes said, apparently there was a new case of fire in an A1. I don't want to get too deep in this. I think we talked about it a lot last week, but some of these fires are going to be just a case of there's so many machines out there, the chances of it are higher. But if we see the same failure over and over and over again, if we see a pattern,
Trends are bad.
Yeah, the trend is what's bad. Huge thank you to Steve Builds with the 10 memberships. If you are a channel member or you're a member on Patreon, you now have access to over 3 hours of 360 footage from Sweden. So if that's your kind of thing and you want to see what the Swedish countryside looks like or some behind the scenes chatting, you can go check that out. And people like Alan Kilgore, Kenneth Davis, Birdman Anyweather, Steve Knobs, Mauricio, sorry, I'm not gonna get that last name, I'm sorry. Damascus Everglades 3,
how are you not getting that last name? It's Mauricio Videos Inc.
Oh my god, it is.
Words.
I didn't realize it was 2 words. I didn't realize it was 2
English words.
I thought I'm like I thought it was 1 word.
Why do you think?
I'm like, well, okay, the first name's Mauricio. Like, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce the last name. Hey, whatever. Alan Ridge, Mr. E, 12111, and Rudy Amid are all now channel members. Oh, wait.
Is it Mercurio?
Mercurio? Oh my god, it is. See? I'm
dyslexic, so it doesn't count.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. It was not intentional. But thank you, Steve, for the 10 memberships. And you guys will be going to hang out with Steve Builds as soon as we're done. He is doing some streaming here at the top of the hour. But yeah, material consistency matters so much more to us, and we understand that manufacturers, and Catlett pointed this out earlier, but unless you're ordering a train car worth of material, of raw material, you are working through a middleman. These middlemen take a percentage, right? So they're the ones buying the train cars, and then they're generally parceling it up into what is a gaylord. A gaylord is a pallet-sized box if you will. It's a big box that fits on a pallet. That's a Gaylord. You might think it's Elton John. You're wrong. It's a pallet that fits on a. It's a box that fits on a pallet. Um, and that's how a lot of manufacturers get their material. Like
Yeah.
when we've been to any filament producer, they use Gaylords, right? And traditionally, that's because they're not close enough to a railway. Because if the railway runs right through the back of your shop, great. Otherwise, you now have to empty a train car and then move it, which is difficult. That's tough in and of itself. So, yeah. But yes, we are going to be investigating the A1 fire stuff. So, please, because now it's not. We have evidence to state that it is not just a 240 volt issue. We have, so as of Friday's video releasing, we had 5 confirmed issues. We now have 14. We're getting into a pattern of problems.
We're getting into a scary number that is bigger than it should have been.
14 all having identical failures is a huge issue. Like now we're getting into patterns, right? And when they're not purchased anywhere near the same time, even further, this is troublesome. It is troublesome to me. So I am debating on spending the money to buy a Bambu A1 just to put it under a thermal camera. So if you guys do want to support that, like the stream, subscribe, I don't know, donate for the Grant's gonna buy a 3D printer that he can't use fund.
Grant's gonna buy a Bambu Lab. That's worth donating for just to watch it happen.
It'll be my second Bambu that I've paid for, which is all the Bambus that I have, because I've only they don't give us free printers. I wonder why. GP3D says, want my now retired A1. We should chat. I might. Why are you Wait, 1, why are you retiring it? But 2, yeah, DM me. Let's chat.
Actually, what would be interesting is seeing the age of GP3's A1 and see how old it is, and then still buy a new one to see if they've made any like power supply revisions.
I might just send them my thermal camera first, because if it's not experiencing the issue, then it doesn't make sense.
But I would feel really bad about getting somebody else to open up a power supply to get video.
No, you can thermal the outside of the machine. You'll see it. You'll see it.
But I'd rather open it up. I'd open it up.
Fair. DM me, boss man. We'll figure it out. But all of this to say that all materials aren't created equal. Like PETGs for this client of why we ended up choosing Polar was because we ran all the major brands. We ran a speed test of how fast can we flow this material. Because Polar has such a low melt PETG, they won. Because at the same temperatures, everybody else is 20 degrees higher just to start printing, right? They are so much colder to start printing. So when you're running at 265, 270, their stuff flows like water compared to other materials, which are just barely starting to flow. So it makes sense. We chose them because it worked for us as a business, because again, time is the thing that matters the most. But it allowed me to learn some things. And I even called Mitch about it and said, why does your PETG melt so low? He said, it's pure PETG, but it's all not created equal. He said, remember, it's a copolyester. The percentages of the different pieces that go in to make the PETG change its melt properties. And it's still technically PETG. There aren't additives to this. We're not adding something to it to make it melt faster. This is just the way that it is. He said, this is why all materials aren't created equal. And he said, this is also why it's frustrating for us as a manufacturer when we see other companies that are releasing a high-speed PETG when we all really know it's either a low melt or they've added filler that doesn't need to melt like this. So it's...
Yeah, and it makes it challenging for users to determine which material to go with. as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you cannot just see PETG and trust that it's PETG anymore, where 10 years ago you could, because there wasn't enough makers making filament and there wasn't enough filament suppliers, so everybody just kind of used the same raw stock. Like, ABS was injection molding grade ABS. There was obviously different blends of it, but everybody bought the cheapest stuff because there wasn't a big enough industry to support it.
Yep.
Nowadays, however, the industry's grown quite a lot. And because of that, we are getting the newer blends, we're getting alternative blends, we're getting alternative additives, alternative fillers. Like, we are in the renaissance of 3D printing at the moment as
We
it is
are.
exploding,
We are.
and it is not going to slow down.
No.
And there's two ways you can come about this. One is learn about material science, which is what I do, and it's what Grant does, and it's a stupid idea because material
It
science
really
is
is.
hyper complex.
Yeah.
Material science is way too complex to learn as a user, even like as a print farmer. You don't want to be learning about material science.
No.
And the other side is just find a brand, test it, validate it, and then stick with it.
Yes.
Do not change from that. Because at least if you know what it does and how it behaves, you can plan for that. You can't plan for changing brands all the time.
Right. Another thing to note is have your like brand that you love, that you use, this is your brand, have at least 2 failovers. So like when Polar is out of material, because the renaissance that we've come involved in with this industry, and this is Bambu's fault, to be clear. The renaissance of 3D printing is because of Bambu. Love them or hate them, it doesn't matter. The renaissance that we are in with 3D printing, with materials, with all of this is due to Bambu and their thrusting of this industry into the world of the average everyday consumer. Because of that, companies are now motivated to do things that the average everyday consumer wants. Right? Prior to Bambu, we had regular PLA and PETG and we were happy because it wasn't $80 a kilo like it was back in the 2010s. Now that we have machines that are super fast, super accurate, super easy to use, well, now we can look at experimenting with materials, and that gets fun.
Oh, it gets really fun.
And to be clear, Jacob gets way deeper into the material science than I do. I get into the material science because I want to understand why the failures that we are seeing occur. I want to understand why certain failures pop up more in Print Fix Fridays than others. So like Blobs of Doom are way, way, way more possible with PETG than any other material.
Oh, yeah.
Because
100%.
PETG curls and warps a lot when it's barely
also
too cold.
Really sticky. The surface energy of PETG when it's liquid is it's like touching super glue. The moment you touch it, it's just adhered. You are taking strings away. Whereas like a PLA, you can rub into it and it just kind of like falls off. It doesn't really stick to much unless it's really high temperature. And hell, even polycarbonate sticks less than PETG.
Yeah,
so you got to be really careful with.
Well, and polycarb is so expensive that most people aren't running it anyways, right?
Yeah, get a co-blend of polycarbonate. You don't need pure polycarbonate. Nobody needs pure polycarbonate.
No, you really don't. Pure polycarb is a pain in the ass to print. A PCABS or even a PCCF makes it a lot easier, and we'll get into why that exists. And we're going to talk about the new FiberSeek 3D, the FiberSeek 3 machine.
I'm so excited for that machine.
Yeah, I am very, 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 very excited. I happen to know the CEO, so that is, I am really hoping that we get one. Like, I've sent off my proposal, which was, I know the CEO, I'm not going to charge you. Just please send me a machine. that was my proposal.
Is probably the most interesting thing that has come to industrial printing for the next 1.5 months.
Did you see the price?
No, did they announce it?
It's on their website. So if you go to the Kickstarter,
because we're no, don't even say that. We're gonna do it in the segment.
You're gonna get pissed how cheap it is. But
don't say that. Now I want to do the segment now.
Oh no, I'm gonna tease you about it. I'm just gonna tickle it a little
Oh,
bit,
Grant's teasing me again.
Yeah, yeah. I like to tease you. You're not Jacob the Pebble Lord this week, so
No, I'm not. I'm repping the 3D
you
Musketeers
are. You're
merch.
repping the
Get your own
merch.
at 3D Musketeers dash store. Is it
Nope,
dash store for you?
nope, nope.
I don't know.
It's shop.3dmusketeers.com.
Ah, there you go. Oh,
Links in the
wait, is your
description.
website a Shopify website? Is
No,
that why?
no.
Oh, oh. Why do people even watch us?
I don't know. I don't know why they do. And
Oh,
then we get into
go
these.
buy a shirt. They're nice.
They are,
They
and
are nice.
we we have some fun new designs coming out soon. But then we have this new material that I think 3D Jake has kind of been the big pusher of recently. But like at the same time, they're not the first ones to do it. A PCTG, which is not
Ooh.
polycarbonate. I know you might think that it's like a PC and whatever TG stands for. No, it's not. It is a copolyester. I don't have any experience with PCTG. It is not a material that
I love it. I love it.
I hear it's a great material. You have to print it a little warm.
So in the list of like pet-based materials, because PCTG is still a pet
Yes.
material, it
Well,
goes PET at the top. It is the hardest to print. It's
Yeah.
the least filtered.
Raw PET
It's the
is
strongest. It is at the top. Then you get PCTG slash PETC is sometimes referenced it as it just because people hate the same naming conventions, where it prints slightly colder, it's slightly stabilized, it doesn't warp as much as PET, and you get pretty much all the same features as PET, but it's a bit easier. Then you go down further and you get PETG, which is the glycol modified PET, which is colder again. It's weaker, it warps more, but it's stabilized, so it's easier to print. So you get this like nice slider of how strong do you want your filament to be. Do you want it a little bit stronger than PETG? Go PETC. Do you want it a little bit stronger than PETC? Go PCTG or just like a higher grade of PETC. Do you want it to be the strongest you can physically get? Go PET. Just raw PET.
I wonder
And it's
if
this nice little slider.
PCTG is still damaged by DCM or dichloromethane. Because if it is, we might look at.
Might be.
It is. So the difference between PETG and PCTG in price is a fair bit. It's like
I've only ever seen it like 15% more expensive.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was 3D Fuel, not 3D Jake. That was talking about 3D Fuel. I thought it was like 50 or 60 bucks a kilo from
I've got mine for like
3D
35
Fuel.
to 40 pounds.
I mean, that's basically 50 bucks a kilo.
Well, do you remember the very first time a Construct 3D printer was ever on your channel was on a Print Fix Friday,
Yes.
where I had a massive blob of doom because I was running PETG print settings on a PCTG part.
Yeah. Always love it.
Don't do that, kids.
No.
Don't do that. Make sure you set the right material.
And someone had said it before, but when you validate manufacturers, it does take like a few days of printing to really like validate the settings. It's like I can technically run our machines faster. We run them at about 85 to 90% of what the material can handle in case there is a little bit of variance. So, we've got some overhead where
I don't have the box with me, but so I've been doing a load of V0 filament testing. I've literally just bought another 20 kilos of fibrology PETG V0 just to dial settings in. Because when you are trying to dial settings in for a profile, one reel is not good enough. One reel gets you within the ballpark of, okay, this is good enough. But if you're really trying to dial it in for an industrial process, you need to run tens of kilos to guarantee that material is good enough. Like these little, I love how I've just got loads of these around. These little filament like swatches, they're cute, but they are unusable in terms of making a print profile.
Yeah.
Like they're good enough to see, can I get a rough benchy shaped blob printing to see if it's even capable? Other than that, you can't use them.
we ran about 5 kilos of every like major manufacturer's material before we decided on, who we had. So like, Polar's number one, Printed Solid is number two, and then some other manufacturers that I don't have the same faith in, but their material's cheap enough that I don't care, are three, four, and five. So, uh, Polymaker was supposed to be number thrue, but we had we tested rolls of Polymaker that we've had on the shelf for years. Like they've been up there for a while. Because for a while we were buying a lot of Polymaker. When they changed their box, they changed their formula. And that's a problem. Because depending on where you buy it from, you might get old box or new box. So, but even
We've got a couple people in the chat, just for reference, saying you can get PCTG for €30 a kilo.
Okay, yeah, so about 40 bucks a kilo.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend getting some. It's worth it. If you need a stronger material, I recommend it.
I mean, right now, for the one client that like really needs strength, dead solid PETG is enough for them, and that is by their standards. They set that. It is one of those situations where I'm like, you don't need that. You can go with this or that or whatever. It is what it is. Real quick, since this is something that comes up often with PETs, Naughty Shepherd says, I have a question. I've seen a lot of people posting models intended for use with food. Would you ever consider printed objects to be food safe?
Okay, this might be a split decision now, because I've changed my mindset.
Well, it depends on what technology we're talking with 3D printing.
So
there are technologies with 3D printing that are food safe, that are very safe. However, the technology that we're talking about today, FDM, FFF, whatever you want to call it, the filament printers, no. It is technically usable once, but it is not able to be sanitized in a meaningful way without fundamentally destroying the interlayer bonds of the 3D print, and therefore, without a exterior coating of some sort, it is not food safe, according to the FDA.
I'm gonna break you a little bit. So, a European research agency for medical use has done a test trial of filament printed parts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the key thing, this is the very important thing. The parts were not hollow. They did do them with thick walls, and if there was any cavities, they put drain ports in the bottom. So there was no way for trapping a liquid in a thing. That was the key thing for this research paper. But they did this research paper where they exposed it to a load of bacterial samples and foods. They took swabs of everything. They then ran it through different cleaning processes. Some of those processes were just the dishwasher. They ran them through a dishwasher. They ran swabs again, and they found as long as there is drainage available inside a hollow part, a dishwasher actually made printed parts safe. They did caveat, however, it is just one research test on a very small subsample with a very good, expensive machine that they could then qualify had no microvoids. So it's still a no, but you could maybe get away with it if you have an expensive machine and you've dialed your processors in.
Like, here's the deal. One of our core competencies...
I wouldn't do it myself. And I like taking safety risks on me. Not you, but on me. I wouldn't do it myself.
I would never do it. So, like, if someone asks us for cookie cutters, we don't even do it. Like, and I know that you can just put up, some plastic wrap between the printed cookie cutter and the cookie dough. And for all intents and purposes, if you use it once and throw it away, it's fine. But I don't want to perpetuate the fact that it is. Now, to be clear, the raw material, like pure PETG, that is food safe. What isn't food safe traditionally is the 3D printed process, right? Because you're using brass, which has a small amount, but immeasurable amount of lead in it. You're dealing with other contaminants within the system, and especially with raw PETG, has a tendency to bubble and create microvoids, cracks, and fissures. Yes, if you coat it in an epoxy, it's totally fine and will last effectively forever. But from a content creation perspective, 3D prints are not food safe. And if you are asking, what about my Stratasys J850? Screw you. You know it's fine. It's a $400,000 machine. You don't count. And who was it? John
I
asked,
made
oh,
my cookie cutter out of PEEK so I could put it in an industrial crucible at 200 degrees. Yes, screw you. We all know it's
yeah,
safe at that point.
now your fork just cost $150 to make.
It costs you $50 just turning the machine on and bed leveling it.
And heating it. Yeah.
Oh, I found out how much those machines cost per day in just electricity.
Oh yeah, it's
An
ridiculous.
ungodly amount. You can buy an entire like consumer grade 3D printer every day just in electricity.
And that's
not even
why,
making anything, just leaving it idle.
That's why those big machines, if you are not running 24/7 production on them, you're losing money, right? Especially if you're doing it in-house, right? But the nice thing is those big industrial machines, they're not fast. So you can have 5 or 6 of them and one person can easily handle that. Like, it's not even difficult to have one engineer handle 5 or 6 Stratasys Fortis 450 MCs, right? Not a big deal at all. We did miss silk filament. Silk, which has been kind of a big thing in the industry. That is a PLA TPU blend. Now,
I will just say, for anyone who considers silk filament aesthetic only, do not do anything else with it. Just aesthetic only.
Yep.
The problem with adding a bit of TPU into it and an elastomer to it to make that silken effect is it heavily degrades the polymer chain. It means you end up with, well, take any plastic part where you bend it and it whitens. That whitening, instead of it whitening, it becomes silk-like. It's still damaged. That's how they get the effect, is they're intentionally straining the material to make it look good, but it also means that material is inherently much weaker. Like, no, not just like weaker in a little bit, like, oh, it's a percentage difference that you're not really going to notice. Weaker. Like, no, you can take a silken part and crush it in your hand with the right settings. It is that weak.
And I will say, like, and it's not just because they sponsor the filament giveaways, but Printed Solids Jesse's Elixir is one of the stronger silks that we've used. I am aware of their formulas. I know what they are. I'm not going to tell you, but the trick with silk is to print it much hotter than you think. If you want better layer adhesion with silk materials, print them at TPU temps or a little bit below TPU temps.
Yeah, but the issue if you do that is you don't get the silk effect. You just get a gloss effect.
If it's a crappy silk, you don't.
As I said, silk for aesthetic only. Like, raising the temperature will change the aesthetic.
This is literally where, again, how each company does their own specific blends to get it matters a ton. I know for a fact that Jesse's Elixir, and in fact, here is a color of Jesse's Elixir that has never made it public. I know what the ratio is of TPU to PLA in this. It's not as much as you think it is. And at the same time, this is much stronger than you think. I still want this to be called Jesse's Silver Fox. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. This is the Jesse that we made at Printed Solid. And the actual color at Printed Solid in the video. This is the spool that I hand wound at Printed Solid. This is that dog. It sits on my desk. But it is much stronger than you think. Crappy silk, yes, it's nowhere near as good. And traditionally speaking, silk is just for show, not for go. Certain silks do have better layer adhesion, but it is still very low when you compare it to raw PLA or even more specifically raw TPU, because man, TPU, TPE, you want something that's impact resistant, just print it out of TPU. You won't break it. I
You
promise.
just straight up won't.
You just won't. Yeah, you just won't.
And then I saw somebody in the chat, I will get their name up, which is 3DP GP3 Designs. Got there eventually. I don't know why I put 3 in front of everything now. Thank you, 3D Musketeers, for putting 3 in front of everything. Would glitter filament be significantly weaker than non-glitter filament equivalent, say regular versus glitter PETG? I'm going to say no, because the issue with silk material is it's permeated throughout the entire polymer to make it happen. When you add glitter, it will be slightly weaker because you have less surface area for the base polymer, but 99% of the time, it's still raw polymer to raw polymer contact. I have not noticed a measurable difference
Yeah,
between raw with no filler and raw with glitter.
glitter
That is to
specifically.
say, if it's 50% glitter, then yeah, you will.
Like, if they're throwing enough glitter in that you can't really see the raw polymer, then it's a problem. Otherwise, there will be some measurable difference. Is it enough for you to care? No, it's probably like 5%. This brings up a point that we're going to be doing testing like that soon. And I want to build a machine that does all that. So if you are...
I wish I could show the data that I've got for all of the
Oh, I'm just
filaments
going to
we've
build a
tested.
machine, and I'm going to build a machine to do it and do it live.
Please.
So if you want to help build that machine, we are going to do it quite publicly in the Discord. That's at the $10 tier and higher if you want to come hang out and assist on that kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
I am pushing to get a specific company to sponsor it, and it is not because I want a specific 3D printer for it. I want to push HT90 for it. Because an HT90 will print anything. It doesn't matter. It'll print it. Right? And I also just really want an HT90. So
it's a nice machine.
Yeah. And this
is
a
nice machine you can buy right now, but you're gonna get a little bit of buyer's remorse once we release ours.
Yeah. I mean, if Construct 3D wants to sponsor it, by all means, they're welcome to.
I mean, hell, but it would be very unfair.
Why?
Very unfair. Our melt chamber is like massively longer, so it makes materials behave better than anyone else would experience.
Cool. That'll be a fun comparison.
You don't want to use our machinery to do testing with, because our machinery pushes the limits of polymers further than any other machine you can get at the moment. We have a research paper that is literally them going, hey, we tried a Fortis 380M versus our C1, and we cannot get the material strength that you're getting out of your machine on our Fortis. You are just stronger, and we do not understand why.
Each printer, the melt chamber, the print speed, the print temperature, that is going to have a larger impact than the raw material itself, right? If your print parameters suck, you're going to have a crappy print. If you're printing something that is structural, that needs to be strong, whatever temperature you print at, just add 10C to it. It might string a little bit. That's what a blowtorch is for. You can get one of these little like creme brulee torches. They are cheap as chips. Butane, well, it is a bastard gas, or at least it's what my dad says. It is perfect for getting rid of small strings on 3D prints, and your parts will be noticeably stronger when you print hotter. Now, yes, there becomes a certain point where you go into polymer degradation. That's why I said like 10 degrees Celsius more, but it does matter. Right? And once, like, when Bambu first hit the market, we saw a influx of Print Fix Fridays that were all like, why are my parts different sheens and like, you know, this area is shiny, but this area is matte. It's because you're not running hot enough, and the polymer is not fully properly melting in the areas where it's matte. You want polymers to be shiny. That is the goal. That's when they've been fully melted. When they're matte like that, you're losing layer adhesion. So if you want your parts to be shiny all the time, up your temperature or slow down your machine. If you want them to be matte, cool it down a little bit, right? Mad Cat is asking, he wants to know what Polymaker adds the Starlight line to make it shimmer. It's not silky like silks. It has a sheen. Like very, very fine glitter has been added. Think polychrome paint. Are you
I
aware?
don't know, but you might. But my gut feeling, if it's got a shimmer, it's probably mica powder.
That's exact. I was looking. I thought I had some Starlight behind me. I don't see it easily. I believe it is mica as well. It would make sense that it is a mica powder, and honestly, the Polymaker Starlight, probably my favorite colors of PLA because it is so damn pretty, and I really don't notice a lower quality of layer adhesion. But again, we don't know what's in it to make it that color, so those we only do for parts that need to look pretty, not ones that need to function as well.
And while we're still on the topic of looking pretty over function, there's a couple people in the chat talking about matte materials.
Mm-hmm.
Matte materials traditionally massively weaken the parts still,
Yeah.
more so than silk. So if you're printing with silk and you're having issues and you go to matte, you're going to have more issues. You get actually, so they add some form of caking agent to the material. So as it's cooling down, it cracks the surface. So you end up with these micro textures appearing on the filament. And that's what makes it matte. It stops the light from reflecting off uniformly. The downside of that is it does it on the interlayer bonding itself. It also does it inside the material. So
Yeah.
you end up with these micro fissures throughout everything. Even if they're imperceptible, it does hugely weaken the polymer. And you can get matte like PETG and you can get matte other materials. Like I've got a matte TPU and it's generally okay because it's such a strong base material, but it will be inherently weaker. It'll be inherently stiffer. Also, heat creep in your nozzle will be worse. Whatever
Hmm.
additive they add for the caking agent, we have noticed we actually have roughly a 30% increase
Hmm.
in thermal issues by heat creep. So we have to have a minimum flow rate for certain materials because they will creep, even if you've got a perfect scenario, just because the material is badly blended. So I don't like matte materials that much unless they are for aesthetic and only aesthetic. I won't even try doing anything strong out of a matte material. I just wouldn't.
We don't stock matte material, so it's not something that I do often. This is just some generic like neon green TPU. This is one perimeter and I think 5 or 7% infill. This is for some portable hard drives that we use, or not portable SSDs that we use here at the shop, just a case for it. This was my test if one perimeter would work, and like
I think that's working.
I have literally like I've twisted it 180 degrees. This was actually too soft for what we were doing.
You know what geometer that one was?
No, because it's just some generic. I as dumb as it is, I like lime green as a color, and lime green TPU is awesome, but durometer can change based on print parameters.
Yep.
So yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to. I've got a small sample of 30D. It is just there's nothing to it.
Yeah, it's basically like printing with wet spaghetti. Like,
Oh my god. I've had spaghetti that is actually harder than
I mean,
this.
this is 60D, but it is like 3 perimeters. It's still pretty soft, like especially toward the edge. Um, but you know, it's not as soft. This is Polar's 60D PET 60D TPU. I really liked it. They sent me a roll. They had everything that I ordered minus one roll. He's like, "Do you want the money back, or you want me just to like throw a roll of TPU in there?" I said, "Oh, give me the TPU. I'll try the TPU. I haven't tried that yet. It's a really nice TPU." Uh, what's 60D and A? I have no clue. You'll have to look
Google.
that up. Yeah,
Just
the
Google it.
durometer scale is just something.
Instead of having a unified scale of soft to hard, they decided we're going to go soft to hard-ish and then have another soft to hard-ish. They could have just lined them up.
Yeah.
Every D is convertible to an A and every A is convertible to a D. So why don't you just merge them into a like a what is it? A rose scale?
Oh, like a Mohs hardness scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just something. Just something that's universal.
But TPU, the problem with printing it is you're printing a rope, right? And if you don't have really, really, really good filament path, it's going to wind itself around your extruder. This was a huge issue back in the day. Huge issue back in the day. It is not so much an issue anymore. Most printers have a pretty well-constrained filament path. But it is something to point out. You're not going to run the speeds that you run with your PLA and PETG. I don't care if you have a high-speed capable 3D printer. It doesn't. Right?
The
it
issue
doesn't
with
run those
TPU
speeds.
is the moment you get back pressure is the moment it fails. Like that is the biggest issue with TPU. It isn't grabbing the filament and pushing it down. That's easy. It's the moment you grab the filament, push it down, and it resists. That's where it falls apart. And you can actually kind of see that behavior. Actually, where could you see it? Where's a good example? A good example actually is between the C1 and the C2, because we've got two very different extruders with two very different nozzles. The C1 is a Hemera XS, very tightly constrained filament path with semi-small gears onto a CHT Volcano. The C2 is a Bondtech LGX Pro on a 44mm melt chamber. It's 2.2 times the melt chamber length.
That's a lot of
The
melt chamber.
C1 is a lot of melt chamber. The C1 can easily get 30 cubic millimeters per second out of TPU.
Excuse
It's
me?
impressive. Now, the reason being is
I don't
the
push my machines
entire
past 7.
system.
I don't push my machines past 7.
Oh
Because
no, you can push it up. You should be able to get about 15 from
I'm
most
sure
machines.
I can, but I don't want to, right? Like, everything in my head, because I've been doing this for so long, everything in my head says, no, TPU is slow, TPU is slow, TPU is slow, TPU is slow. So when I even when I crank it to 7, I'm like going over to the machine and turning the speed down to like 60 because it feels wrong. I understand that it's fine, but it feels wrong. And as we all know, it's all about the feeling. You know, as Journey says, it's more than a feeling, okay? It's more than a feeling.
But yeah. So you can get about 30 from a well-constrained extruder and nozzle setup. Like a CHT Volcano is not an exceptionally long melt chamber. What makes it possible is the extruder is highly constrained, and a lot of modern extruders are highly constrained now. The C2, however, has an LGX Pro, which isn't as highly constrained. It's got bigger gears, which means there's bigger surface area for it to like slip out of, but it's got double the melt chamber. It's a 44mm melt chamber. So you would assume we could double the flow rate because it's got more than double the melt chamber. No, we get a hard cap of flow rate to 35, even though the melt chamber is so much longer. And it's because back pressure. The filament isn't even hitting the bottom of the nozzle. It's gripping the side as it's melting, and that is enough to back pressure out of the extruder.
The jokes there
So
are
you
way
have
too
to
easy.
find the maximum. I'm skipping over the jokes. Because I know there's going to be a clip of me saying it, and it's just going to be zooming into your face
Saying
every
what?
time I say something. I don't know. I've got it. There's no
I'm
reason to
flipping
say
it. I don't
anything
care. Like, so people are asking, you know, what? So 60D, I guess, is just over 100A. These are identical prints, identical G code of whatever the hell this neon is, and Polar 60D. It's definitely Polar 60D is definitely stiffer. But something that Mitch has told me and has pushed me to want to get a durometer tester, which, oh my god, they're not expensive. They're like
cheap.
$40.
Yeah, they're cheap.
He's like, yeah, TPU, it's all a lie. He's like, most companies that claim 95A on Amazon, they're not.
It's like 105 plus easily.
He said sometimes they're really high, sometimes they're incredibly low. And I even have like old school spools. Is it Handy? No. Of Ninja Flex.
I actually have a roll of Ninja Flex from 2012, I think. No, bit older, 2016. And I swear to God, I bought a brand new reel of I think it's high flow TPU from Overtone. I swear the high flow TPU is softer than the Ninja Flex,
And it might
even though
be.
the TPU is saying it's 95A.
It might just be
And my
easier to
Ninja
print.
Flex is saying 50. And it is not. There is straight up whatever they've done to the high flow 95A is softer than a 50A. I don't know what they've done. It's just so
Well,
much
and
softer.
print parameters alone will determine what the effective end durometer is. So if you're printing something where you want it to be squishy, but you want it to have an internal air cavity, gyroid infill every single day of the week. Oh my gosh. Gyroid and TPU is a match made in heaven. Back when I was still using a cane, this you can actually find this stream. It's a long time ago on this channel when I still had long hair. When I modeled a cane handle live on YouTube, and we were able to open source it, so it's out there. You can download it. You can download the step files and all of that, and the F3D file if you wanted. But we designed it so that with gyroid, it would create air pockets. And the goal there was so that when you put your weight on that cane handle, that the air pressure would push back. So you wouldn't actually hit the metal cane. You'd be pressing onto what is basically a car tire. And it was so much more comfortable. And look, I was using a cane in my 30s. I'm 35 now. My back injury was April 9th of 2020 when I was 30 years old. Yes, I used a cane for like 2.5 years, right? That handle helped me so much, so much. And it showed me the power of TPU. But like I wanted to advertise on it. It's like I had my company name on the side of it. When I printed that, it was so much stiffer because of all the different geometry that was now a part of it. So I ended up having to make one that was completely clean. But it was one of those interesting use case scenarios where it's the same TPU. Nothing's changed. But the material properties effective are different. That's the difference. That's the thing that
It's
matters.
why when you do your geometer testing, you're going to have to print solid blocks because how you print it will change the effective softness of the material.
Yeah.
Like if there's a little bit of a cavity on each layer or you've done it slightly differently, it will change that softness. I mean, hell, that's how foaming TPU works.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's still a hard TPU. They've just made it very thin by adding air. So it becomes softer.
I've got some foaming TPU. Soraya Tech's been putting out some stuff.
I have not tested theirs yet. I really want to because I've only used color fabs.
Remind me after the show. I'll get you in contact with Mark.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah. Oh, Mark's a great guy. But you know, I have a relationship with them, so like they reached out like, "Hey, you want this?" I'm like, "What do you want me to print with it?" They're like, "I don't know, whatever you want." I'm like, if you don't give me something you want me to print with it, it's gonna sit on my shelf. Cause like I don't like, do you want me to do like an airless basketball? They said, yeah, actually, yeah, that would be a great case. I said, okay, cool. Airless basketball it is.
Can it be called an airless basketball if the material is designed to fill itself with air?
Well, so it's like the Voronoi pattern or Voroni patterned basketballs that you see, like the SLS one that EOS did, where there is no air chambers inside of it.
Oh no, I know what they are. I'm just saying, like, if the material is designed to foam, so there's air pockets, is it really an airless basketball when the material is specifically designed to trap air?
And if I forget to take my stimulant, am I just an airless human? Like, honestly.
Yes. Yep. Straight up.
And as Pezlis says, the airless basketball is the new benchy, except it uses like 600 grams of filament.
Can we make an airless squash ball instead? Something nice and small.
Uh, what Pip Design Shop says that Jacob's on a semantics rant today. Yeah, yeah. Jacob's on a just.
I'm so
I'm.
tired.
I'm going to be uh antithetical. Is that the right word? Yeah, I'm going to be the antithesis to whatever Grant says, just to create controversy. Fine,
It's good
Jacob.
content.
Bamboo printers are fire hazards.
Well, actually, I think they're very good paperweights, thank you.
um, so moving out of materials that aren't biodegradable into one that is.
PHA?
Yeah.
PHA?
PHA from Ecogenesis Biopolymers. Uh, Polar Filament does all the manufacturing of that. PHA is a marine certified biodegradable material, and it is super effing cool. It is so cool. It's a pain in the ass to print. Once you figure it out, it prints really well, but getting it to like getting it to print well is kind of tough because it doesn't. You're like, oh, PHA, it's close to PLA. Like, even in the alphabet, L and H are pretty close to each other. They probably print the same. No, they don't. They do not. They don't even print remotely close to each other. And hilariously, I have to cool my house down more to print PHA properly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it goes crystalline closer to like 26, 27 Celsius. And
Interesting.
it's 28 in here right now. Yeah, it's a little spicy. Pezlis says I'm a fire hazard, so I guess I just have to like, get the torch out. I'm obviously a fire hazard. And K2, who's in here, we love Kevin. Have you seen what the hell Kevin is doing on Twitter recently?
No?
He built
No?
what has got to be the coolest way to deal with filament poop from 3D printers. He built a ridiculous conveyor belt system that when the machines poop, they poop onto the conveyor belt, then the conveyor belt goes over and into like a printed receptacle for it all. It is the definition of, you were more concerned about whether or not we could, and you were less concerned about whether or not we should, and I love everything about it.
Big CNCs have conveyor
I
belts on the
know!
inside.
I know!
So now we can get them on our little CNCs.
I looked at and said, shit, I wish I had access to the back of my printers because I would do that in a heartbeat. That is so flipping cool. I love that. And in fact, when we do our shop expansion, well, which is going to be a brand new shop build, I am going to make it so that the machines that poop are all on one area of the shelf so I can do the K2 conveyor belt system because it is just too damn cool to not do that. It is too damn cool to not do that.
That is so cool.
Liz is a mod. Liz, can you post the link to his Twitter of showing that off? That was just so freaking cool. I love everything about that. But what he was saying is that he's given away hundreds of TPU airless ping pong balls at rep rap festivals, and that people seem to love those things. I will have to take a look at that and see. If you want to DM me a link to the file that you use, assuming it's not like a file that you made yourself, I would love to take a look at that because I am very white and very untalented, so basketball is not my thing. Ping pong isn't either, but one of those takes a lot less time to print than the other. But dude, yeah, click the link that Liz just put in the chat. It is unreasonably cool.
Oh,
I just
have a look, see.
I am waiting for your face on this.
Wait, I know what I'm doing for this. I'm gonna do this so that everyone else.
It's a little
can
small
see
for
me.
them.
Wait, I can. Oop. There we go. So
It's
if
still a
I
little small, but it works.
Oh my god.
It's a freaking
That is
conveyor belt for
that
filament
is
poop.
just a conveyor belt.
Isn't it so
That is
cool? It's so cool.
fantastic.
It's like I never knew that I needed this until I saw it and I'm like, "Oh my god, I need this."
That's you guys.
That's me.
No. I'm trying to do two streams at once. There we go.
I
So
like,
I'm trying to see if it's like the right size for the stream.
dude, and like it all comes out at the
Oh
end,
my god.
and it's two tiers. It goes right into a little bucket. It's got LEDs because of course it does. Like, so not only is it functional, it looks cool, and it's like, oh, what a cool.
That is
Now,
gorgeous.
is it an excessive amount of material used to make it happen? Yes, absolutely. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. Is it so freaking cool that I don't care? Yes. Yes.
That is fantastic. I love that. That is like the actual best thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That
Honestly,
the
the coolest, but also kind of excessive and wasteful, but in a like, you know, rock kind of way. Like this is punk rock of 3D printing. The way that, so it's kind of the same way that like 3D print bunny that Natalie thinks. It's like you're looking at utilizing the technology in a way that is completely different. And I love that. Like the way that Kevin looks at the chips, the maker coins, this method of dealing with printer waste, the way that I want, and we got to have him on the show at some point. But
definitely.
and we got to have Liz on too. Maybe have them both on at the same time. I don't know. But having that mindset to me is like the most valuable thing you can have in this industry. Because at this point, go buy a Bambu. They're click, print, go. Right? Out of the box and printing within 15 minutes, if that. Right? Yep. But to be able to put yourself in a mindset of thinking the way that someone like K2 or Print Bunny or even like Wexter and Fotis, right? To put yourself in the mindset of being able to think like that, you've now taken a fun little cool thing and turned it into a tool. And that's what separates kind of like, it's an adage, so I'm going to use it. It's like, so you know, that separates the men from the boys. And I that's a saying that doesn't really track these days anymore, but you know, and I've met Kevin a few times in person. Hell, I even got laid by Kevin. He is so nice. Someone who has taken more time than I think either of us would care to admit to just chat with me. Just talk to me about the things that he does, why he does it. The maker coins were really one of the big things that I wanted to talk to him about and learn more about it. Because like, I understand why we do it, but I wanted to understand why he started doing it. That was cool to me, you know. So go give Kevin a follow if you haven't. Super cool dude. Thomas with the 5 gifted memberships. DJ, it's Ram Online. He got one. Pip Design Shop got one. Panzer Cotton got one. Saxophone Guy. Priscilla 1998. LGR something got one as well. Thank you very much, Thomas, for gifting memberships. Greatly appreciated. Yeah. But yeah, PHA is a whole new world of 3D printing. I am hoping that we can...
I'm hoping it becomes more common.
Well, I'm hoping that
it's a really nice material.
That I can just kind of learn to use it more. Because it's such a new material, it's never requested. So like all the work that I do with it is just for fun. Right? I want to learn it. It's for fun. It's enjoyment for me. But it's a little expensive. right?
I mean,
And
half of the issue does come down to it's never requested, and that's because the users of a print service generally request what they think they know, but none of them are material scientists to know what is actually best. And that is part and parcel of why I see like the big three filaments are still PLA is number one, ABS is number two, and PETG is number three.
an ABS
And
should
I
not be number two. Stop
it
using
shouldn't be.
ABS and use ASA. But I still want to talk about PHA because one of the coolest things that I saw that they do with PHA is shotgun wads.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like, it actually does. Like, so in the UK, if you're doing airsoft, your pallets have to be biodegradable.
Mhm.
Having shotgun wads is just the real steel equivalent of having a biodegradable projectile. And
Yeah.
that makes so much sense because if you are firing these into like the woods or at a range, you
Yep.
don't want to have to be worrying about
It's normally a piece of
plastic
nylon.
litter all over the
Yeah,
place.
it's normally like a piece of nylon or polycarbonate. And
Mm.
um, I
Hell, even if you're at a
you know,
range
keep talking.
and they
I'm gonna
collect the
go.
lead
I have some
pellets
clear ones. I'm gonna go get
afterwards,
one. Keep talking.
like if you're collecting lead pellets afterwards, so this actually happened at my local range where we used to use like a lot of air rifles. The pellets would be swept up and then they would be melted back down, and you weren't allowed to use brass pellets or copper pellets because they'd melt them back down. If you're using a PHA wad, they can melt it down and it will just boil off. It doesn't affect the blend of the like the metal that they're remelting. Where if you were using like a nylon, it would poison the metal, so they can't get away with that. Have you found one?
Yeah, yeah, I got one.
There we
So
go.
this is a semi-clear shotgun shell. So you can see that that honeycomb
Got a
pattern.
nice wadding.
That is the wad. It's a buckshot round. So there, if you want to see, it's a Fiocchi 9 pellet double-aught buck. But yeah, that honeycomb thing, that's the wad. And it's because the BBs in here, now this is double-aught buck, you can get birdshot, slugs, all that. But these are much smaller than the bore of a shotgun. And so you need the wad. The wad is what's actually getting pushed out. It pushes the pellets with it. Um, the wad goes downrange. Like it goes basically as far as the pellets do. And that's wasteful. Now, mind you, a lot of these pellets are lead, some of them are steel, so there's a contamination issue there too. But if we can immediately solve the issue with the plastics, hey, that's a pretty good thing. Even further, I've always wondered if you could do the shells, like the actual plastic outer casing of the shell. But a lot of people reload shotgun shells, so it's a little bit weird. But
Would you
like
reload a shotgun shell? Like I could understand like brass reload and steel reload because it's metal, but plastic?
I don't want to get too deep into the 2A stuff, but yeah, this is such a cool method for using PHA because now you have one less thing to worry about that's going downrange. Because 6 months or so, it's gone. That is such a cool method for PHA. Now, the 3D printing side of it, I haven't found a lot of practical applications. The practical applications that I look at are things that are like one-time use plastics, where it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this for a layup mold or a jig fixture that you're only going to use a couple of times, and then traditionally it would sit on a shelf and take up space. Well, now you can comfortably throw it away. That's a big deal to me. That's where something like PHA would come in and say, this is why we would choose to use it. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So Catlet says ABS is only number 2 because it is so cheap. It is. Yeah, ABS is so much cheaper than ASA. Like you can get made in America ABS for sub $20 a kilo, and it's
And
not
it's not
even
even the
difficult.
price. It's also like a lot of users know what ABS is. Like
Yes.
if you ask people like, do they know what a PETG is? They'll probably go no. But if you say, have you heard of ABS? They'd probably say yes.
Everybody's heard of ABS. In fact, you likely have ABS in front of you on something. It is one of the most ubiquitous plastics out there. It is very, very easy to injection mold, and that's why. And as GP3 Design says, Lego. Right, Lego. Lego is one of the biggest users uh, of ABS, and they are the world's largest tire manufacturer. Be
Talking about
upset.
the little Lego tires, right?
Absolutely. Be upset
Yeah.
at that, because that is true. ASA
That
is,
took me a while.
yeah. ASA is the weird uncle of ABS. It is everything ABS is, but it is also UV stable. So those of you that have old cars like I do, or know of like the old Chevy Blazers that had dashboards that were made out of tortilla chips, basically, because after about 15, 20 years, you tap the dash and it just spider cracks into a billion pieces. And there are videos online of people just like high-fiving a dashboard of like an old Chevy Blazer, and it just obliterates into dust, right? Or into big shards of plastic. ABS is not long-term UV stable. It breaks down with UV. ASA does not have that problem, which is super cool. Super.
I mean, it still does have the problem. It's just 80 years instead of 10, because nothing is UV stable.
From my understanding with ASA, it is permanently UV stable.
I've always been under the impression that it's more UV resistant, but not stabilized fully. But as Thomas O in the chat is saying, it's not a UK problem. We don't get enough UV. We don't. We just don't.
Yeah, that's not a UK problem.
It's why I can put PLA prints outside and not worry about it, because it doesn't get hot enough and it doesn't get UV bleached.
Kegel says that in the US, you can't hunt with lead. You have to hunt with steel. I didn't buy these for hunting, but I don't think that there's. I want to cut it open, but it's double-aught bucks, and they're not cheap.
No. Do you have a magnet?
Oh, right, I've got magnets. How do they work? Magnets. Let's see if it sticks to it. No. Does not stick. That sticks, though, because the primer's magnetic. Okay. Yeah, it's lead. I'm like, I'm fairly certain this is lead, because I don't use shotguns for hunting. Not, yeah. Anyways, I'm moving on from that subject.
Oh.
But yeah, ASA is
just a better ABS in my eyes.
It is.
While it does
doesn't
have an
stink.
Issue. Well, I don't care about the smell, because smell is just a byproduct of working.
No, I do. I hate.
Like, ABS has a nice smell.
No, it doesn't. I hate it.
It's the smell of cancer, and therefore it smells good.
What are you? The director of the U.S. healthcare system?
Funny. No.
ABS smells horrid compared to ASA. ASA is like a tenth of the smell because it's missing the butylene, right? The B in ABS is a butylene component, to my understanding.
Yeah, but you're still smelling the styrene, and the styrene is the bad thing.
I understand the styrene is no joke, but ABS has styrene in it too.
Yeah, but like, okay, so my only issue with ASA is it's probably the hardest material to print that most people are going to try and print.
Yes, it is.
Because
it is not
it
an easy
has
material.
such low surface energy, so it doesn't stick to much. Like, you can have a perfectly made like PEI sheet, and the adhesion to that sheet will be a mouse file compared to any other material. Like, you print on the smooth side for maximum adhesion, you add your Magi Goo in for maximum adhesion, you warm the chamber up for maximum adhesion, and you look at it the wrong way, it's come off the bed.
Yeah,
just straight up.
The trick with ABS is to actually limit how much contact it has with the build plate. So ABS, ASA, they shrink when they cool. We know this occurs. So if you want to minimize warping on a part that is a really wide part, then you run channels. run channels on it. Or you do what Yontech does and just put a layer of PLA down first and then print on top of the PLA with ABS, which is upsettingly good.
Genius.
It works so good. It's upsetting how good that works. I will say though, so like Kevin is saying that some ABSs doesn't smell as much or at all, then that's not pure ABS. Something was added to that. There's additives in it. And it's like, I like Polymaker's ABS and their ASA, but I do find that it is the least smelly out of all materials that we print with, which means it's not pure. Because pure ABS and pure ASA both stink a fair bit. ABS to me stinks a lot worse. ASA stinks a lot less. I really like Polymaker's ASA. In fact, it's one of the only ASAs that we run in here. Because it's... Also, I have a ton of it still. I bought a bunch for a project. They paid us, and then the project was canceled. So we got paid. So the material's sitting here, so I have it. It works well. And while Liz says whatever it is, it works, I get that. But from a business perspective, we have to know what's in it, or we have an issue validating. You might say, but Grant, you did that for a business case. I did at the customer's request. They requested Polymaker ABS and ASA. They requested those materials specifically because they had already gone through testing and certified it. They were just looking for someone to basically take over production. So that's what that contract was for. But that got doged. So we don't do that anymore. But thankfully, the initial payment on that job paid for all the material and had a little bit of money on top of it. So no harm, no foul. Russell Milner says he's got Bambu ASA and it stinks to high hell. That's
probably just ASA still. It could be a different blend of ASA, but ASA does still have a smell.
Yeah.
And most people can pick up on it. Some people are much more sensitive than others.
Kevin said got doged. No, it actually got doged. It was a government contract. It actually got doged. I am not using that as a joke. It was actually shut down by the Department of Government Efficiency. They canceled the funding for that contract. I am not making a joke. That is an actual thing that occurred. It sucked. Because that was supposed to be a very profitable job for all parties involved. But dude, it does print so well. And the Galaxy Orange from Polymaker in their ABS or ASA is great. Their Galaxy ABS and ASAs are just beautiful. They add a little bit of glitter in there. And I really like...
The annoying thing is, ABS and ASA is the PLA of high temp.
It is.
It prints so smooth.
It does.
You can print at any temperature with pretty much any printer as long as it's a high temp chamber. And it will work. It will give you a good part and it will look great doing the entire thing. It is just such a nice, forgiving material as long as you have heat. It's the high temp PLA in my eyes. And because it flows so thin, you don't get the issues of PETG where it sticks to the nozzle,
right,
or it sticks to itself, or it absorbs moisture because it's ABS. It doesn't absorb moisture.
Yeah, it really doesn't absorb any moisture.
It is an amazing material, and it's why it's quite popular for industrial applications. It's just also a pain in the ass.
It is.
I hate how popular it is because of it.
Well, it's popular in industrial applications because it can be very close to a 1-for-1 on your injection molding. Same material that you can injection mold with. And it was one of the first materials to get, I'm going to put air quotes on, mass produced via 3D printing filament because it was easy to make. So that's a big thing with ABS. I would like to see ABS get taken out back kind of thing and an ASA take over. I think it is an overall better material. And traditionally when people ask us for ABS, I will tell them we're going to use ASA. They're going to ask what that is. And I say, it's ABS, but it's UV stable. Oh, okay, great. That's even better. And we move on.
Yep.
Nobody has, well, okay, one time, it was for a government thing. One time, they're like, nope, it has to be ABS. Otherwise, everybody has been cool with ASA.
Yep.
So
I literally,
why
whenever anyone
change?
asks me, I'm just like, it's the better ABS, and they go, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's good enough for me."
it's ABS's weird uncle. It's easy. It works.
What do you mean weird? It's the cool uncle.
Yeah, but I can't say cool because then people. So if you use the word cool, they might think that it like prints colder or doesn't handle as much heat. I just say weird because it's different.
Fair enough.
Um,
I like that.
but like once you move on from your ABS and ASA, you can go into polycarb. But as we talked about earlier, polycarb is a very. You think ABS warps? Let me introduce you to my friend polycarbonate that hates everything, including you. Polycarbonate,
Especially you.
it sucks to print. Pure polycarb absolutely sucks to print. If you are looking for a good polycarbonate and don't want to spend a ton of money, Polymaker's PC Lite. I do not know what is in it. I do not know why it prints so good for a PC. I'm going to call it a PC blend. It prints incredibly well. It is incredibly affordable. Uh, Absolutely love it. But their PC Lite, it's not pure. It does print well. It's got good impact resistance. It is not as strong as pure PC. I think their PC Max is pure PC, but I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like polycarb is one of those materials that sounds really cool to print until you print it.
Until you print it. Yeah.
And then you kind of start questioning every decision you've made to get up to that point and why you decided to use polycarb in the first place. Because there is other materials available that kind of do the same job.
Well, polycarb has
Kind of.
supreme chemical resistance to certain chemicals over other plastics. That's often why you choose it. It's also very impact resistant. It tends to flex a lot more than other materials before it breaks, and it is not a elastomer like a TPU or TPE is. But polycarb is the first of these materials that we are going to recommend from a professional standpoint. Do not print pure. If someone asks for polycarb, ask if a PCCF, so that's a carbon fiber filled polycarbonate,
Yep.
ask if that is okay. PCCF not only
Fixes not all of the problems,
it
but
fixes like
most.
90% of the problems. Warp
Yep.
pretty much gone. Interlayer bonding being too strong in a problem pretty much gone because you have such a high fill of long strand carbon that it actually makes the part weaker. Right? This is something that when we're going to talk about the fiber seek here in a little bit. But chopped carbon fiber, it is not a Lamborghini, it's not Bugatti, it's not Koenigsegg, it's not woven carbon fiber. It is literally carbon fiber that's been chopped up into teeny tiny little pieces and they're hucking it into the filament extruder before it's extruded.
And
That
it's
is how
important to
it's
say
done.
that's not milled carbon fiber because that's a different process.
Yeah, milled is
That's a
like a
very different
dust.
thing.
Milled is more of a dust where chopped is, well, what it sounds like. It's chopped up.
So you'll end up seeing this in, like, say on Amazon, where there'll be two brands of carbon fiber, both from the same supplier.
Yep.
And let's just say PLA carbon fiber. One is the same price as regular PLA, and one is 20 quid more. The one that's the same price is the milled
That's
carbon
milled.
fiber.
Yeah.
That is just using carbon fiber as an additive to add the material. That is the dust being added. It looks good. Don't get me wrong. It does an amazing job at making things look good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't add anything to the material. In reality, it just makes it weaker.
If you want
Whereas
this, if you want like the secret to perfect prints, just add carbon fiber.
carbon fiber,
Just add
carbon
it.
fiber and glass fiber, just
Like
straight up.
here, I'm gonna show you guys a print here. This is PCCF. This one is. It's been on my desk for a while, so you can see it's a little dusty. But like, dude, you can barely see those layers. Like even the top layer, absolutely gorgeous. Bottom layer, absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Side profile, absolutely gorgeous. And then like if you hit the light just right, This part's actually nowhere near perfect. It looks it, but it's not. In fact, from this side, can you see the issue in it? Oh, focus, please. Can you
Oh, I
see
can
the
see a
issue in the
little bit
part?
of, I'm not going to say Z banding, but definitely Z shadowing, caused probably by heat or infill. Looks like there might be a little bit of VFAs.
There's a missing
Just
layer
a,
right there.
oh, is there? I
Yep.
didn't even spot that.
Yep. That's the
I
thing with
didn't
it.
even spot that.
Yeah. It is obvious to see with the naked
I
eye,
love it.
right?
I love carbon fiber
But
because
yeah,
it
there's a
hides
missing layer.
so much. There's a reason videos when they're launching a new machine show carbon fiber parts as their like
Oh,
primary
yeah.
thing.
It looks beautiful.
Like if you want
It's
to actually advertise a machine and trust the advert is real, get them to print in gray. Just no carbon fiber, just
yep,
gray.
matte
Because it
gray.
doesn't hide
Doesn't
anything. No,
hide.
no, no. Gloss gray.
Oh yeah, gloss
Matte
gray,
gray
excuse
hides a
me.
bit.
That's right.
Gloss gray hides nothing because it's in the perfect like zone of any highlights you can see, any shadows you can see. If
Yeah.
it's white, they can kind of overblow it and it looks okay again. And if it's black, does the same thing.
Yeah.
Gray, they can't hide it.
P-
All of the adverts should really be done in a generic gray, in my opinion, because of that.
PCCF also adds a lot of tensile strength to PC. It makes it more brittle, right? But because it's stiffer, now it doesn't flex, it doesn't yield as much. Your
And
part
it's
is
important
stiffer
to
as
note
well.
for people, brittle doesn't mean it cracks. That's weak and brittle. Brittle just means it becomes stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. That's all it does.
And
So
then
there
all of a sudden it
every
becomes not stiff anymore.
yeah, like every engineering term. So brittle has an opposite, which is ductile. They are joined. You can either be ductile or you can be brittle. You can't be both. And you have all of them. So you can be strong and weak. They are directly opposite. You can't be both. So I think there's like 20 different words. I don't know the exact number, but everything has an opposite. Brittle is literally the definition of how much it flexes before it shatters. Whereas ductile is how much it flexes before it permanently flexes. So they're on the opposite scale.
It's
Brittle does
plastic
not mean bad.
versus elastic deformation, right?
Yeah. Like the important thing is brittle does not mean bad. So
No.
when we say adding carbon fiber makes the part brittle, that is good because it adds rigidity to something that might be too soft.
Yep.
And it honestly is great. Like carbon fiber is almost like if you're doing Photoshop and you've got like a nice picture, it's the blur feature. It blurs everything. So if you've got a nice little graph of all like I don't know what the term is, where you got the circle graphs where you got printability and like strength, like you see it on a load of websites for Filament, where you've just got this lovely like visual explanation of how strong something is versus how flexible it is. Carbon fiber just averages everything out. If it's super brittle, it'll actually make it slightly more ductile. If it's super ductile, it will slightly make it more brittle. If it's super strong, it will make it weaker, but it will make it more resilient. It averages everything out.
And it
And
just
that's
makes your
what
parts
makes it
prettier.
amazing. It is such a good additive. It's why it's used across the board.
Yeah.
Though it
Yeah.
does tend to increase the temperature slightly because carbon fiber blocks temperature transfer because it's carbon. It doesn't have a high specific heat and it doesn't transfer it very well. So it normally prints a bit hotter.
And Beard Printer with the $10 saying thanks for always putting on an awesome stream. Thank you for being awesome, for donating to the stream. And if you do want to help keep these streams ad-free, you can do so by donating to the stream, super chats. You can join the $10 tier and higher to come hang out with us in our private Discord, because after the show, we're always over there hanging out and talking about the show and things like that. And a lot of it is we're just decompressing from being live for, well, we're coming up
Yep.
on 2 hours and we're about halfway through our list.
Oh, yeah. And we've only got 80 likes. 80 likes and 144 people
Yep.
watching. So instead of liking the video because you like us, like the video so you tell YouTube you like us. Or do it just to spite YouTube because it ruins their algorithm. And spite is a much nicer thing than actually liking people.
It's true.
Do it out of spite. Don't do it because you like us. Do it because you want to annoy YouTube.
And PC is one of the first ones that you'll start to see blends. So there's PC ABS is one of the most popular ones, where you get the chemical resistance of PC the temperature resistance of ABS and the flow characteristics of ABS. It is much easier to print than regular PC. It's harder to print than regular ABS, but it's much easier to print than PC. Um, Someone said, where the heck was it? Why isn't there a PC ASA blend? I have no clue. I
Probably
couldn't tell you.
demand. It's
Yeah,
probably just demand.
PC ABS is a common material used in injection molding, so there's no reason that it can't also be a common material used in 3D printing.
And a spoiler
There's
alert to everyone, ASA is not massively popular in injection molding
no,
because they don't care about
I don't care
the
about the
smell of
environment.
ABS.
They,
They need the easiest material to pump stuff out.
Mhm.
They don't even ventilate the machines.
No.
Like that is a key thing with injection molders is if you are doing ABS, which is most injection molders, the building is the ventilation for the machine.
Mhm.
You just have to filter it with your lungs, and that is it. Like that is the standard. So they're not going to go over to ASA just because it's UV stable, unless it is particularly what they're doing. So we're seeing a lot of car manufacturers go over to ASA because it's UV stable. But other than that, you're not seeing blends of ASA because it's just more expensive. ABS is cheap and plentiful. It's easier to make. So we're probably not going to see like a polycarbonate ASA
No.
anytime soon, at least until the industry gets double the size. And then we can kind of start determining what we want because we're big enough to actually get them to make the blends instead of using blends for other industries.
And like, why? Like, why do you want a PC ASA? I guess is another question. It's like, yeah, there are reasons for it, but why? So like PC ABS, there are reasons for it. It's mostly from the injection molding industry. But if you want PC ASA, why? And if you
Also, I
can't,
believe the PC part of PC ABS stabilizes the ABS.
um,
It traps a lot of the off-gassing in the actual material, so you
oh
don't
no, it
end
still
up
stinks.
with. Oh no, it does still stink, but it kind of like masks a bit of it.
Mhm.
So it does kind of fix the main issue we have as ABS just because it's a blend now. Like if it's a 50-50 blend, which it's not, but if it was a 50-50 blend, you've already halved the output because you've halved the amount of material. And then because there's more material in there, it's also masking the rest of it because it's bonded to the ABS. So there's even like the ASA side doesn't make sense because you've kind of fixed the issue by just blending it.
Yeah.
It becomes within allowable tolerance levels. Like,
Yeah, and it's like what
yeah.
is that percentage of blend? That is another challenge that you run into, right? But by and large, you probably won't find a reason to run a PC ABS blend. If you want to try it, by all means do, but it can be more challenging to print. Just be careful about that.
I have so far with all of like the print service we've done for military and industry, we've not had a single user require PC ABS. They all tend to use other materials. PC ABS is quite a rare to come by
It is rare.
use case.
Like I've had 3 or 4 kilos of it for about 10 years now. I think I still have most of those rolls.
Yep.
But when
I've
you
gone
need it,
through a
you need
lot
it.
more PET carbon fiber than I have polycarbonate anything.
Hmm.
Anything. Like any blend of polycarb that I've got compared to one material, which is PET carbon fiber, I've gone through a lot more PET carbon fiber
Oh yeah,
because they
dude.
kind of overlap. They overlap with their use case.
And a lot of people worry about like the carbon fiber and handling of it. I'm not certain it's as big of a deal as people think, but at the same time, we are traditionally when we're doing carbon fiber, we're torching the whole part. So if there are little bits of carbon fiber sticking out, they're not anymore. They burn away. It's not an issue. Um, I have never noticed bits of carbon fiber stuck in my hands, unless I'm doing like heavy support removal where I'm like ripping supports out
Mm.
of parts. Then I will notice like, every now and then a little bit of carbon fiber, but in a day or two it does come out. I don't have to worry about it too much. It's not that big of a deal. But obviously be careful. Be careful. Um, Nylons. Nylons.
Nylons are a weird one because they're kind of used in more places than people expect. Like
Polyamide.
they're kind of like the the TPU of industrial material, kind of. Like they've
Yeah.
got really strong interlayer bonding. They can be easy to print. They can be very painful to print. They're if you do not know what material you want as an industrial user, nylon is a safe bet. It will cover most of what you want.
Yep. Yeah.
Some of
Nylon.
it is awful.
So you have nylon 6, nylon 12, nylon 612. You have raw nylon, you have carbon filled,
But
you have
nylon
glass
six
filled.
six,
Oh yeah, 6
which is the
6.
worst
Yep.
material you will ever print in.
Yeah, nylon comes in just 11 herbs and spices of pain. Nylon is kind of the start of these upper echelon materials that are an absolute bear to print with. Um, nylon absorbs so much water so rapidly that, like, in Florida, if we do not print with a heated with a heated dryer, within 2 hours the nylon is damp and is actively showing worse results on the machines. Raw nylon, you think ABS warps a lot? You think PC warps a lot? Enter nylon. Which is like enter Sandman if you're doing SLS or MJF or LPBF with nylon powder. Um, but certainly nylon has some really cool applications in this industry. Um, Obviously, the 2A community has picked it up quite a bit because, you know, you can make lowers with it, you
It's
can
a
make uppers with
amazingly
it.
good material.
It is an amazing material for 2A stuff. Just don't be stupid. Um, Check your local
Now
laws, you
the
know.
important thing is nylon can't be printed on a lot of machines. Now, easy nylon, which is like a copolyester blend of nylon, can be, and I do recommend it. It's actually quite a good material. But nylon generally needs very hot temperatures, heated chamber, slower print speeds than you're normally expecting to print with no part cooling.
Right.
Like it traps heat like no tomorrow. Like I actually have a blend of, I think it's Spectrum, the world's best brand name. Spectrum nylon 66V0.
Oh, so you really hate yourself.
It has been the worst printing experience I have ever had. So, not to say that it dries at a 90-degree ambient temperature.
Hmm.
You have to blast dry it because it's nylon 66. It's also got a V0 additive. I do not know what they've done to this material. I cannot get it to print clean. I can get it to print. It prints fairly good, but it kind of comes out like a matte material, which nylon is not a matte material.
No, it's
It
shiny.
comes out matte. And weirdly enough, like, you know, like when you print like a foaming material, you kind of get that like doubled over foam where it looks ass because you haven't toleranced it in.
Yep.
All of the print comes out sandpaper. And I don't know if it's drying too quickly or
Hmm.
drying too slowly. Is it cooling down too quickly or is it cooling down too slowly? I thought, is it moisture? So I blast dried it for 90 degrees for an entire week. It's dry. Didn't fix anything. I tried slowing the speeds down to 5 cubic millimeters per second on a nozzle that can do 101 cubic millimeters per second. Didn't change anything. I tried speeding it up. Maybe it's overheating. No, it's not overheating. I lowered the temperature. I raised the temperature. I printed as high as 340 degrees. I printed as low as 250 degrees. It printed identical. If you hate yourself and you want to print the world's strongest material, nylon 66. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Choose a different material. End of the line. Industrial machines hate it. It hates you. You hate it. Everyone hates you because of it. Don't do it.
by and large, when someone wants nylon, we are offering MJF or SLS as well, uh, because I will often make my prices higher in FDM because it is just easier to do in SLS MJF. It's easier to do it in a powder form than it is in a filament form. I understand that not everyone has access to that. It's fine. I get it. I understand. But nylons are difficult. Heated chambers are almost always required for pure nylons. And that's where Scotty Almond Joy comes in. It says Polymaker adds 5% polyethylene to their PA6 25GF, so that's a 25% glass filled. So it actually hates being printed in a warm chamber. Threw me for a loop on my +4. Again, Polymaker makes good filament, but if you are
The
doing
glass fiber will
engineering grade
stabilize it.
materials, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Well, the 5% polyethylene that makes it hate a heated chamber. I think that's also the one that wants like a 60C heated bed, where like nylon 110. 110. Simple, easy, no problem. But when you're mixing stuff together, this is where their Fiberon line comes in and is much more valuable because they're providing you with a lot more detail. But Fiberon from Polymaker, Polymaker puts a lot of effort into their work. Just listen to what they say, but be aware that you might not be getting a pure material. So just be aware of that. It's not to say it's bad material. I like it.
Oh no, it's an amazing.
It's just
there's a reason it's used.
It is weird in that you're printing it cold. You're printing it no heated chamber with fans. You're like, this isn't nylon. This is weird. This isn't what nylon does. And then we have this weird subset of nylon, continuous fiber. And
I thought you were going to like PPAs, where they're polymerized nylons and that sort of stuff.
No, because this is where we're going to push into the FiberSeek machine. FiberSeek is it's a Kickstarter. So it's not on Kickstarter yet. They are doing the one thing that we all hate. They're doing the deposits. But it is 300 by 300 by 245 continuous fiber.
Size.
Continuous fiber, so it's Markforged. Okay. Under 3.
Under 3.
$28.99. $28.99.
Bloody hell. Oh my god, Markforged is quaking in their boots.
Their MSRP is going to be $5. So $49.99. Their super early bird is going to be slated at the $31.99, but if you pay $50 now, your VIP offer is $28.99.
I'm sorry, but Markforged is scared.
Markforged has been in some issues. They lost their patent lawsuit with continuous fiber, or continuous composites, excuse me. I don't know where the FiberSeeker 3 really fits in all of this. I don't know if they're violating patents. It's not my job to know. Disclosure that I have to provide here is that I know their CEO personally. We are friends. So I am a little biased into wanting this product to succeed. But I will continue to tell you, this is a first Kickstarter from a company that none of us have ever heard of. They've never done this before. Do not spend money on Kickstarters. Do not back Kickstarters with money that you are not willing to light on fire and burn. I am trying to get one for the channel. I think it would be very valuable for us to be able to show it to you, to compare it to other materials, to beat the hell out of things that come off of it. I think it would be a great machine to add to the fleet. However, I'm not certain that I would be backing a machine right now like that. So the FiberSeeker machine, 300 by 300 by 245, that is huge.
Big. That's huge for a machine like this.
Let me see what a Markforged Mark II comes out.
Oh, they're like 15 to 20,000 pounds.
I want to see its build
relatively
dimensions.
Small. Also, does the Mark II have the heated bed or doesn't it?
No,
because that's the one thing people might not be aware of is Markforged loves to not sell you the basic features of a 3D printer, like a heated bed.
Okay,
for some reason.
Markforged build volume, Mark II, $15,000 printer. Take a guess.
Now, The one thing I know is it looks bigger than it actually is because their
That's
build
what they
plate
tell
is a
me.
massive piece of granite. Sorry, slate for some reason. I'm gonna say 200, 200, 180.
320, 132, 154. So that's
So
EXA
it's quite
width.
wide, but
Yep.
it's
Yep. Yep. They've got the
you can't
length,
print
they ain't got the
anything in that.
girth. They've got the length, they ain't got no girth.
I'm sorry, you can't print anything on that.
You can print a
That is
lot
so
on that,
small.
but it is
Yeah,
a
as long as it's long and thin.
that's what they tell me. um yeah, so that's the Mark II. So if we look at let me look at like the X7.
Oh, that's so expensive though. That's like 150 grand though.
Okay. 330 by 270 by 200.
It's smaller. It's still
Maybe.
smaller.
Yeah, it probably is. And yeah, I
But
think
that
they're like
price is
60 or
insane.
$70,000. Yeah, they're
Oh
pretty
my
pricey.
God.
So Fiber Seeker, the Fiber, yeah, it's 65,000 on worth for an X7. So yeah, bit of a price difference. So you're going from, even at full retail, 5 grand versus a machine that is 70 grand.
I know what I would do.
Yeah, I know
And
what I
it
would
would
do
not
too.
be it would not be a Markforged.
No. So you might be saying,
Also, ironically, you might end up with better customer service out of the Kickstarter printer than a Markforged.
well, I have the CEO's cell phone number, so yes. But yes, you probably will. Doug Dreams Void says £2 for the International Sandwich Fund. Thank you, sir.
Hell yeah.
So continuous fiber. So nylon has a really cool property because you don't add cooling. It takes a while for it to cool down. Continuous fiber takes a second nozzle with a monofilament of carbon fiber in it and just embeds it into that hot nylon. So, yes, this is hot plastics in your area. This is a case, you want a 3D printed part that is damn near indestructible, continuous fiber with nylon, period. It is damn near indestructible. I have Markforged parts that I have had for over a decade. You can't. You can't break a regular nylon part, just like bends, it's soft. You put continuous fiber in it, and it is, pick your poison for dick joke for how stiff it is. Like, just it becomes something that is like a Bugatti, like a Koenigsegg, like a Ferrari. This is woven carbon fiber. The problem with Markforged, and I don't know if Fiber Seeker is going to experience the same issue. The problem with Markforged is that you need a minimum 3mm wall thickness to put in the continuous fiber. Now, that might have changed, but when I was looking at Markforged, it was 3mm. They preferred 5. They would let you go all the way down to 3. So if you're dealing with a part that isn't at least 3mm thick, you're not putting continuous fiber in it. And in fact, if you look at the video or the little GIF on the Kickstarter for Fiber Seeker, where they show it printing the part, the piece that they pull off, you can see where there's continuous fiber versus where there isn't, and it's pure nylon. So there is some sort of limitation to it. I'm assuming it's got to be like double the thickness of the extrusion line. That's where you can put in the continuous fiber. But at 5 grand, if they actually get this off the ground and it works, son of a gun.
It is impressive.
Like, I would...
It is impressive.
Now, we don't know anything about materials. My assumption is that this is not going to have an open materials catalog, that it is going to run, a closed material catalog. But even so, buddy, it's cheap. It's really
It's
cheap.
good. It's really good.
This to me would say, I am going to, like, as a business, if FiberSeek is anything like I want it to be, it would tell me there's no reason for us to offer regular nylon anymore in the business. We will just use the FiberSeeker machine.
Yep, I'd agree with that. I'd 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, ignoring the price of the machine, it's just the fact that you have a nice big build volume.
$5,000 is still
You've
cheap.
got
I'm sorry, it's still cheap.
$5,000 for industry is a drop in the bucket. They might actually end up dealing with the same issue that we have, getting told we're too cheap.
I don't care.
That is literally one of the reasons Construct 2 is priced as it is.
Yeah.
Is when we got feedback on how expensive an industrial machine would be, we found out we would double sales if we doubled our price.
Yep.
Because at a certain price point, people start to question, why are you better at 1/10 the price? Like, they still expect a certain level of cost. And if you are under that level of cost, instead of it building confidence that you know what you're doing, it actually builds doubt. So they might actually end up being too good and might have to raise their prices to sell more. At which point, buy them now because they're nice and cheap.
It is a they are using a proprietary slicer, so it is something to note. And a lot of these platforms do run proprietary slicers because the continuous fiber it's different. It's very different. But from a material standpoint, continuous fiber solves every issue that I have with nylon in general. I would say that unless you're willing to risk it for that proverbial cheaper biscuit, if you can afford 3, you can afford 5. Right?
Yep.
If you can afford $3,000, you can afford $5,000 when it comes to a machine like this. My assumption is that my payback time on this machine would be less than a month. We could ROI this machine in less than a month, even at full price.
Easily.
I think I could.
You could probably ROI this in 1 or 2 prints.
It's funny because if I want to ROI this machine right, I would get an FFL with a series with a manufacturer's license and just produce firearm parts, because that's like, you want a machine to print 2A, that's what that is.
This is the machine to print 2A.
Yeah, and it's cheaper than it's cheaper than a decent rifle. A very nice rifle, I should say. It's half of a Barrett 50. But still a very interesting proposition. So Tuan and the rest of the FiberSeek team, good luck and Godspeed. Hope we can work together. If we can, awesome. If we can't, hey, it is what it is. I will continue to bother you, though, because I do think that you guys have a really, really unique system. And you're bringing continuous fiber to the home market or to the small business market, which is a very important place for it to be. So,
yep, that's where a lot of development happens. That's
Yep.
where a lot of the high-speed growth in an industry happens before it gets big. So giving a machine at that price point to the people who can actually design things in an agile manner means we're going to suddenly start seeing the quality of 3D printed parts jump.
and similar to how Bambu kind of revolutionized the like the regular FDM market, this might light a fire under Markforged and other manufacturers of continuous fiber
Yep.
machines. So
I've only been hearing, I can't say bad things about Markforged because they're not bad things. It's just I've been hearing they are not doing very well. They haven't been able to capitalize on the technology they've got. They've now lost the patent license that they basically based their entire company around of. And now there's a competitor biting on their heels with a bigger, better machine for cheaper. And Markforged still cannot capitalize on the technology they've tried to push very heavily. Like, they've got their own slicer, they've got their own like ecosystem, they've got their own materials, except everyone that I've talked to that says they have a Markforged just says they use something else. that they've not had a good experience with the technology that they've got.
Yeah, we find that especially in Mark IIs, they tend to sit and collect a lot of dust.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the lack of a heated bed is one of the biggest challenges that the Mark II has because they're still printing nylon at the end of the day and they're trying to print nylon on an unheated bed. That was insanity. And then they're like, oh,
yeah.
well, we've got to buy £100,000 machine now. I'm like, no, they bought your cheaper machine and it was bad. Why do they think the 100,000 is going to fix the issue? Then just not going to buy it.
And so Nick T said Bambu didn't revolutionize anything. They have stolen from everyone and given nothing back.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Straight up wrong. They have revolutionized a lot, but not in the areas that people care about.
They're not in
They
yeah,
revolutionized marketing. They
yes.
revolutionized manufacturing. Like the ability to scale up 10 times the size of Prusa overnight is revolutionizing how you do
Yes.
manufacturing for this industry. The fact that they have figured out how to market to get to that scale and come across as the good guys in a very maker focused industry is a revolutionizing way of how they do business. As much as we hate to say it, that they have taken a lot of technology and they've built off the shoulders of giants, they have still revolutionized that. They've made a new slicer from the ground up based on Prusa Slicer and Super Slicer and all of that, but they revolutionized it. They made a new UI and
They
it
brought
is easier to
multicolor
use.
3D printing to the masses. And they did it
Exactly.
in a way that worked. They provided something that for the first time was click print go in reality. They provided, like, they were the first ones to do a direct print from their model repository. I think they were.
I can't remember if it was Prusa or them who
Yeah,
did it at the same time. It was
certainly
very
they were
close though.
close. Bamboo has created an ecosystem similar to Apple where it feels very consumer friendly, but on the back end, it is very anti consumer. There's a data collection issue that we've presented multiple times. People either listen
And
or they don't.
just like
And,
Apple, they take things from other areas and claim it as
well,
they're the first to make it.
eh,
Like, we're not pretending they are good. Like, they have built off the shoulders of other people. They have taken ideas, they've rebadged them, redesigned them, all of that, but it's not their ideas. But they've done a really good job at it, and
well,
that is still revolutionizing something.
and the thing really comes down to love them or hate them. This industry is where it is right now, and the growth that we are seeing is nuclear, right? Because of them. And Nick T says, no Sculptio did print from cloud years before Bamboo existed. Correct, but not to a printer inside of your house. Not to your own printer, right? And Bamboo is still currently being sued by Stratasys, so we will see how this has an impact on things. That lawsuit is still ongoing. I checked it the other day. It is still ongoing. We are not certain what's going to happen. This lawsuit may have some pretty significant changes in this industry because of it. So, it was to your own printer? Not that I'm aware of. I've been in this industry since 2008. Sculptio has consistently just been an online service provider. They were a competitor to Shapeways. So, I'm happy to be wrong on this, but not to my knowledge. That was not something that was possible back then. We only had network 3D printers for a couple of years that were in any way, shape, or form okay before Bamboo hit the market. And again, look, this is coming from us, okay? We are not Bamboo fanboys, okay? I think that the company is inherently evil. I think they're making great products, but the cost of it is your privacy. And for us to be saying this means that they are legitimately good. So, yeah. They have done good in this industry. Regardless of what the long-term impact will be, the current impact from them is good. Sculpto
I mean, and you can't deny it. If you deny it, and if we
Never
deny
heard
it,
of this.
that's how you know we're shilling.
Oh my
because
god, the
you need
Sculpto
to
Pro
be
2. That's the damn polar printer. I want one of those so bad because they are the most ridiculous, stupid thing you've ever seen. I want one of those machines so bad because they are just abysmally dumb. Um, anyways, I look at materials and say nylon for a long time was like the peak of what we were able to print. But now we're seeing machines that are being sold sub $10,000 that are capable of peak, PEC, PPSU, PPS, PPA, Ultem, PEI. We are seeing engineering grade materials hit the prosumer market. And that is a huge, huge thing when it comes to business. Now, if you're wondering, Grant, Jacob, I print PLA. What is Ultem and why should I care? Ultem is what your bed is made out of. You shouldn't care because it is so expensive as a filament that you will likely not use it. It
Yup.
is V0 by nature. It's like $200 to $400 a kilo.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, and there aren't many machines sub 10 grand that can do it. HT90 can do it. I'm sure Luke's Lab has a machine that can do it. Um,
I mean, even then, you could
Construct
argue a
2.
HG90 can't do it
Yeah,
because
it's right on the edge. You
there's
can't do
there's
big
this two
parts.
stage of printability.
Mhm.
Like you can print in those materials if you babysit it and you do everything, and you will get a part out of it. But then to get the full material strength, you then need to anneal it. Whereas a more expensive machine, but we're talking like 250,000 at this point, will print it and it's the correct temperature so it doesn't need the annealing step. So there's two ways to print those materials. A lot of the industrial ones where they cost more than your house on one quite small machine is because they can get to 500 degrees, even 600 degrees to print some of these
Yeah,
materials.
that's nozzle temp.
And you need a heated chamber that is
Yeah,
hotter than your bed.
you're
There was a
talking.
reason Stratasys patented a heated bed because they didn't use it. They used a heated chamber to heat the bed. The chamber was 200 degrees, not the nozzle, the chamber.
Yeah,
That was how hot it needed to be.
to print Ultem 9085. So Luke is talking about that they're bringing a sub $150 a kilo 1010 GF to the market. There's kind of like two big Ultems out there. You have Ultem 9085 and Ultem 1010. 1010 is the pretty one. 9085 is the ugly one. But
Yep,
9085 is the one I'm more. Yeah, that's 9085.
9085.
Yep. Yeah, I have
Also,
9085.
dry the hell out of it. You can't use an off-the-shelf dryer.
Nope.
You need a blast oven. And I'm not kidding when I say blast oven. You
Literally, an
need
air
high
fryer
airflow,
can
high
do it.
temperatures.
An air fryer can do it. Um, that does not mean you should do that. But it is possible. Just don't be stupid. That would be huge. Sub 150 a kilo, 1010 GF to the market. But all of these materials, and I would say um, Fiberon has a PPS that is printable on bamboo, I think. I know it's printable on
I
the
think Eason
H2D,
has one as well. I think Eason has
but
one.
like I look at the plus 4 from Cheedy. That's a 65C chamber, 350 on the nozzle, 100 plus C on the bed. You'll print PPS all day on that. Right?
I would stand by PPS and PPA and PPSU are the three most interesting materials because they're relatively easy to print. Yes, they are printing at the maximum the machine can cope with.
Yeah.
Like whatever that nozzle goes to, put it to that temperature and hope it's high enough. But for the most part, you can print these on a Bambu Lab. You can print
Yeah.
these on a Prusa Mark IV if you wanted to, with varying degrees of success. But it is doable, and it's doable quite well. And those materials have such a high like crystallinity to the polymer strand
Yep.
where they harden like no tomorrow. You can tap them and they sound like glass. They are some of the strongest most resilient. I don't know about chemical resilience, but from impact resilience, they are up there. They
Yeah.
are up there so high that you don't need to buy a £100,000 3D printer to print Peak. You can print this, and most use cases will be okay with that. Like just straight up. Oh, and apparently
And
PPS gives zero shits for chemicals. Thanks, Luke.
yeah, it
So
doesn't
yeah,
react
print
with basically
PPS,
anything
the
under
super
200
material.
Celsius. Yeah. PPS, if you've ever seen the bells that are 3D printed that sound like a bell, that's PPS. Um, I I want to do a bell at a PPS, but I also know how much that costs. So I probably won't. But it'd be really cool to get people's attention with the bell, made out of PPS. It is a very, very cool way to look at high-end materials. And and we're kind of missing the one that I think is the coolest, but it is very expensive. Tullamer. Tullamer. Um, Tullamer it's that weird polymer that works.
It's the polymer, not polymer, weird middle ground
Yeah.
where it's.
It's from
I
a
mean, the
company.
closest you can describe is it's liquid Kevlar.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. We have some. We have a whole thing that we're going to be doing with it. Part of this testing series that we want to do. Tullamer is going to be the top dog, and we want to see if we can beat it with regular materials off the shelf or using multi-material with an XL to do it. So it's a whole process. But Tullamer is one of the most, it's Tullomer, Tullamer from the company Z Polymer.
Polymer is if you have a tool changer, it's the budget version of continuous carbon fiber.
Yeah, and Tullamer is printable on a Bambu. On an X1 carbon, without any extra things, you can print it. That is the big thing.
That is an important thing. There is caveats to
Yeah, it likes to have a heated chamber. It doesn't need it, but it does benefit from one heavily.
And it prefers lower layer heights. Not because of flow rate, but because of how it works. So when you print it, it creates the strands of fiber that make it what it is. So the thinner the layer height, the thinner the strand, the more strands you get in it, therefore the stronger it is. It prefers smaller nozzles with smaller layer heights. So if you can do 50 micron layer heights on a 0.2 nozzle, that is like the best you can get. The downside is most extruders aren't designed to actually run flow rates that low, and most software isn't designed to deal with pressure levels that minuscule. So you will get like weird over extrusion and under extrusion here and there, but it's still stupidly strong.
I've done some prints with it, and it is the most impressive filament that I have ever used as far as filament goes. Now, it has a price point to be up there with some of the more impressive filaments that we've used. I would even like, if you needed it fast, I would recommend it over SLS because SLS is not a fast process. But it is a really, really cool process. Like, really. It is one of those materials. It's like,
so cool.
it is, I classify it as a God class material, right? It's up there with Peak, PEC, Ultem, Tullamer. But it does not require a God class machine to print it. Luke wants to know what the base material is. Patented. I have no clue.
We don't know.
Yeah.
The problem is there isn't any additives from what we know to it. It is just, that is the material.
Yep.
It is liquid Kevlar, whatever that means. And that is 100% the material that they've added in. And that's what makes it so unique.
And while Titan 3D AZ says MJF is a fast process, so similar to SLS, but so much faster, it is. But they are still.
You can't print Kevlar with it.
Well, yeah, you can't. But because it is a larger machine, you don't just print one part with it. You're printing a lot of parts with it. It's not something where you're going to turn over the machine quickly, right? MJF parts, they print. You gotta take the cake. You gotta get all the parts out of the cake. You then have to clean them all. FDM, simple, very, very simple
Print
comparatively.
It's print and go.
Yeah.
FEM.
And like we did some work when we were at Bond Tech where we decaked uh a Fuse
That was
one,
fun.
a Fuse one
That
cake.
was
So
really
that's
fun.
SLS. So that's a much hotter system. MJF is a binder jetting process. Are you aware of like how MJF works?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
glue. It's a very similar process, but glue.
Kind of. It's glue and heat. So it's HP, so of course it uses ink. Uh and the ink is different colored. So it's a dark gray. That dark gray is picked up by infrared lights that go over the top of the material that sinter it during that process. So it is it's called multi-jet fusion. Um, multi-jet fusion to me is better than SLS every single day of the week. I prefer it. I want one, but I don't have the space for it currently. The thing with any powder process, and so like we're getting beyond regular materials, but the thing with any powder process, you must have a space designed to work with powder. If you are working with powder materials in a regular office environment, you are going to hurt yourself. Take it from someone who has been hurt by powdered materials in the 3D printing space. Don't do it. I had a wake up
Like,
call. I had a wake up
there is a
call from a
reason you
doctor.
don't have one.
Yeah, like I have sandstone. So that's powdered gypsum. And I had a wake up call from a doctor. I had like just constant coughing, bronchitis, right? I went into the doctor and he's like, just does all the regular stuff, asks me the normal questions, do you smoke or anything like that? And he comes in and says, I don't like it when my patients lie to me. Why are you lying to me? Like, I'm not lying to you. I don't smoke. He's like, this says otherwise. And he shows me a picture. He's like, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but if you're not smoking, whatever you're doing, you need to stop it. And that's when I took a sabbatical from this industry right before I started 3D Musketeers. That gypsum powder was in my lungs and was like caking up my lungs like a smoker. It wasn't smoker's lung, it was just gypsum. And it all, worked its way through. I'm fine now. But it was like one of those, oh shit. I had 5 of these machines in an office environment where I was there every single day, and white powder covered everything. Like Scarface levels of just dust. And I should have known better. When we opened up 3D Musketeers and I had a couple of those machines, we had them in their own dedicated room with a pharmaceutical grade fume hood that could put the room under such a negative pressure that no dust made it outside of the door. So, yeah. And you all are yelling at me saying PPE, PPE, PPE. According to 3D Systems, the CJP process does not require any PPE. It is completely safe according to 3D Systems. I was following manufacturer specifications. I wasn't doing anything wrong. They were just idiots. Sorry. And it is that wake-up call as to why you see me take such a hard stance on PPE when it comes to talking about it in videos. So you will always see me wearing every ounce of PPE that I can in videos, regardless as to whether or not I would actually wear it in real life, right? 3D Systems was assuming that you weren't around these machines all the time. They figured light exposure wasn't an issue. And they're right, it's not. Right? It's no different than just breathing in regular dust. But when you're breathing it in 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay, that's pretty bad.
That's not good.
No,
That's not
it's
good.
not good. Titan 3D said that they're an FSE with MJF. I'm assuming you mean SME? I don't know what FSE stands for. But I've ran MJF machines. I've ran SLS machines. I love powder nylon. It is a great process, but you have to be careful with it. Um, yeah, just please be careful. Um, these higher end materials, if you've made it this far into this video and you're wondering about high temp materials and you want to talk more about them, just
The Discord.
yeah, just join the Discord.
Discord.
Um,
That is the best because there is no quick answer for these materials. These
there
are
isn't.
long-winded explanations
Oh,
of
field service
polymer
engineer.
science and use cases and even the parts you're trying to make. Because a lot of the time, if you think you need these materials, you're wrong.
Yep.
Most of the time. If you think your part that you've designed is designed well for these materials, you're wrong. It's not. If you think you found an alternative material, you're wrong. Like all of these type of things, when you get to this level, have so much nuance. You have to start understanding material science, how the machines work,
Yep.
environmental concerns, safety factors, even like application specific things. Like it could be in a high vibratory environment, at which point PPA and PPU aren't good
No.
because they don't have any internal dampening. So you actually have to start deciding like, hey, if I'm making a bracket for like a wire, I need something softer. I need something weaker because these materials are too good. They are closer to metal than anything you will get on the rest of this list. Sometimes they exceed metal performance.
Yeah.
So we now need to start talking a lot more in depth about why, what, when, how, alternatives, everything. Like that is not a just go about it. Go to this
Yeah.
material. Go to
No.
PLA to PETG.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that.
It's not. When people come and say, "Oh yeah, I need peak," okay, why? I mean, we're happy to do it, but why? We don't want to charge you for peak unless you really need peak. Um, we had a school teacher come to us and say, "Hey, we need some peak and Ultem printing." You do? Yeah, yeah. So we were talking with Stratasys, and they said that really the best way to do this is peak and Ultem.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't
Yeah,
laugh.
and
I was talking with Stratus, and Stratus said we needed to print and peak and
I
ultimate.
I
Well, that
laughed
sounds
too.
just
I
like
said,
them.
well, "What are you doing?" Oh, well, we're doing some jigs and fixtures in an environment where there's some decent vibrations. Well, how big are the parts? Oh, they're not too big, about 4 to 5 inches XY and about 2 inches in the Z. Okay. Um, if I can print them out of a material for you, would you be willing to try them? They're like, yeah, no problem. I printed them out of a carbon fiber uh, PETG. Still working to this day.
Yep, that
Still
sounds like
working to this
Stratus.
day.
Oh yes, I need small bullet for a job. Your answer as Stratus is you need artillery cannon. It's always their thing. That's how they sell £100,000 machines.
Well, that's yeah. Their business model is not even making money on the machines. It's always in the materials,
It's the material.
right? And Titan says that CF PETG is the goat of FDM. Honestly, it kind of is. You get some really nice layers out of it. It looks beautiful. It's easy to
Prints
print.
relatively easy.
Yeah, you lose some of the strength. So I look at it. I look at like CF PETG as a PLA. I classify them in the same range of like strength, right? Yeah.
I
I
would probably stand by my go-to if I need an engineering grade material is PET CF. Like not nylons, not polycarbs, PET CF.
I don't print with it enough. We don't get enough.
I need to get you some reels. They're good.
Yeah.
It prints lovely. It actually prints better if you print it colder. While you get slightly worse layer adhesion, it just looks so much nicer and you get better tolerance from it. Because the issue with PET is it just traps heat.
It does.
So if you print
Yeah.
it a little bit colder, it just works fantastic. But PET CF is like the goat in my eyes. Like a 15% PET CF with long fiber strands. Oh, it
Gorgeous.
looks it looks like an SLS part. It is perfect. Just straight up amazing. And it barely warps. It prints like butter. You can do it on an open frame machine because it's got a carbon fiber in it. As long you don't even need to get that hot, 280, 290, and you can start printing it. Like, yeah, I'd rather do like 300, 310, but you don't need to. And you can get in glass fiber if you want colors. So do what you want. It's great.
Yeah, certainly messing around with these higher end materials is fun. Make sure your printer is able to handle it. If you have a brass nozzle on your machine, don't try anything with carbon, glass, nothing. Um, get a good hot end. Once the Pika is available for sale, get a Pika with a non-high flow hardened steel nozzle, or a diamond if Luke has, diamond
Wait, why
availability at
a
some point.
non-high flow? Just get a high flow, like abrasive resistant nozzle. They'll go great.
Oh, Luke said new
Even
update on
more
the
flow.
Pika is out. Hold on. I'm going to check my email to see if he's right. Oh, he is right. It just dropped. It dropped 14 minutes ago. Oh, it's so cool. Nice. Very, very happy to see that, Luke. Good job. Oh, and there's a video with it. We're not going to show it though. That's, you got to be a backer. I'm a backer. You got to be in the cool kids club. I'm in the cool kids club. But yeah, be careful with high flow and any filled materials. The chances of you clogging one of the ducts of the high flow, pretty much guaranteed.
Pretty high.
Yeah. And once that happens, you can't generally unclog a high flow. Ask me how I know. Yeah. Ask me how I know with a high flow insert.
I've actually made a custom stand to unblock high flow nozzles. So it's literally just a heat block where I can put the nozzle in from the bottom, and that's it on its own stand. So I can see the chambers at the top, and I can manually force things through each individual chamber.
It's a bamboo one. You can't do that with it. If you have just a high flow bare nozzle, yes, great. Super, super cool. Yeah. Do not run high flow with engineering grade materials. Just don't. If you're looking at anything fiber filled, run a regular hot end. Like, I have diamonds for all of our machines that can run engineering grade materials. We don't mess around. Even on nylon, I won't mess around with high flow. It's not worth it to me. Pure nylon, pure polycarb, won't mess around with it. We'll just instantly go to the diamond and move on. It makes sense. Now, tungsten carbide will work. Hardened steel will work for a little bit, but some of these higher temp materials will get to the point of where, the hardened steel is not as hard as it used to be because it's getting pretty hot. That's why I like diamond, but I'm a little bit, again, biased toward Diamondback. I do quite like their nozzles. They are expensive, but I like them.
I mean, they are good nozzles. They're good nozzles for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that if you're looking at those kinds of materials and you still want some more help, join the Discord, $10 tier and higher. If you've gotten this far, like the stream, things like that. Support sponsors of the stream, please. And if you do want to help keep the streams ad-free, because we only have a few minutes left until the little timer thing goes away. But donate toward the stream, help us out, support the effort that we do here. Some kind of internal updates. Jacob and I got a chance to look at one of the new podcasts that have been edited down, and
it's so good.
So
you guys aren't ready for it.
Making Awesome 230 is the first one that we're starting with to edit it down. That was a 2 hour and 56-minute show. Edited down, it is 1 hour and 6 minutes.
And it doesn't feel like it's missing anything.
It literally, we listened to it, and I could not tell that anything was missing. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy it.
The stream quality has gone up considerably. There is really nice animations
some nice
in
animations.
some areas. There's transition. Oh, it's glorious.
Yeah, very, very
happy. You're
happy.
going to love it.
Yeah, I think you
so
guys
if anybody doesn't want to watch the 4 hour live stream. I don't know why you wouldn't. Come on, support us. Watch
It's
it.
fun.
But if you don't want to, you can watch the super cut down version and feel like you've missed nothing.
It is not public
And you
yet.
get me not in Vaseline camera because it's got the raw stream data, not the streamed to zoom to YouTube. So I look even better.
It's not. You're not that bad. I am. My camera is better, yes, because it's being streamed from my PC. But I'd be curious to see what like a screenshot from your computer looks like for me compared to what YouTube looks like. Now I'm curious. You have to take a screenshot. We'll check.
What, on
But
Zoom or YouTube?
both. Do one of each. I'm now curious. But yeah, I am excited. We are not certain if we're going to get hit with some limitations on YouTube for upload size. So we might have to release the clips of it first, then we release the full episodes until like the channel lets us upload longer stuff. But we are very excited for the future of this podcast. And since if you are listening this far in, if you do have a company that you think would be a great sponsor for the show, please let us know. We are actively seeking sponsors for the show. Would like to bring on some more corporate sponsorships to support the show and the efforts that we do here, because you don't get information like what we just gave to you normally. It's not
No.
from someone that uses materials like this every day and someone that makes machines that can use materials like this every single day. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, no, it's not under 18 or anything like that. Anything else we want to touch? Or is this going to be a little bit of an earlier show?
We could touch on how we dial in new materials if you wanted to. It gets a little bit on the drier side. I find it's quite interesting because everybody has a different way to do it.
If you're listening this deep into this show, having this knowledge would actually be pretty good. So yeah, I'm totally down for it. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first because I want you to tell me when I've made a mistake, because I only know how I do it. I don't know how anyone else does it.
Okay.
So, for example, I've been given a load of brand new swatches. Thank you, Fibrology, for this, by the way. Just sending me random swatches because we asked them. Also, we bought 20 kilos of V0 material to test. So thank you very much for that. So what I would normally do is I would always start with choosing a target temperature. So I would look at the data tech sheet of the material and I would try and choose a target temperature, not doing a temperature tower, just choosing a target temperature that I want to set the material at. Normally, I choose above the recommended. So if there is like a range of temperatures, so let's say it's PETG, where it's a 250 to 260 degree PETG, I will choose 260. I will choose the maximum upper range of any recommended material. Because in my eyes, if you can print like that, you get more speed for that. It stabilizes things a bit. And if you get warpage, it stabilizes.
Fair.
If I'm then putting it on a machine that has an abrasive resistant nozzle on, which tends to be a steel, I will raise the temperature again by 5 or 10 degrees as the standard before I do any testing. So for, say, Construct 2, for example, because that does have an abrasive resistant nozzle in 3DQF PETG, which is normally a 260 degree material, I will run 270 for everything. So I've chosen my temperature. My next step is directly below that, flow rate testing. I will do two different types of flow rate test. One is I will just park the head and I will manually extrude filament until I start to see that filament line start to curl. The moment it starts to curl, that tells me we're starting to get stress in the material. And obviously, if there's dye swell, there's definitely stress. If it hasn't failed yet, I will keep pushing it until it either jams or strips. Thankfully, we're using an LGX extruder, so stripping is not an issue at all. So I will do that, and then I'll get one number. I will then do a racetrack test, because the racetrack tends to tell something a little bit different, because the stress of when it's printing can show up in weird ways, especially if there's carbon fiber, where if you push it on a thick layer height with carbon fiber, you don't get dye swell and you don't get stress, you just get balling. Like the material will like ball up faster than you can extrude it. So, for example, in PETG with 3D QF material, we got 68 to 75 cubic millimeters per second of flow rate. That doesn't mean we can use all of it though. So we will derate it then. So we found the absolute max. We then derate by roughly 20% as a headroom. It also allows the polymer to like stabilize and everything. So we
Okay.
will be pushing 45 to 50
Yeah.
cubic millimeters per second, which is a very respectable number. Now that I have a speed and a temperature, I can then run with it. So the next step is pressure advance. Because if you're pushing that much material at those temperatures, you need to dial in your pressure advance. So that is the next thing. I'll do the Ellis temperature like graph in Orca Slicer. Dial it in. I will try to keep it running at the rough speed it will be printing at, not the maximum speed of the machine. So if we're printing at, say, 300 millimeters per second, but the max speed of the machine is 500, I will do all my testing at 300 to 200
Yep.
because that is more like what you'll be
It's
getting
more
instead of
realistic.
straight lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're printing a box, sure, you'll get to 500. But if you're doing lots of detail, you're going to be between 100 and 200 or 200 to 300, nowhere
Mm-hmm.
higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I will choose a speed and I'll do pressure advance on that. I will then work through all of that and I will get a number and I will normally keep it on the lower side of it because most of the times it's okay to have a bit of balling when you get to the end, a bit of over extrusion than under extrusion because your value is too high. I generally don't bother with flow rate, as in terms of like flow rate multiplier, because I trust the extruder is pushing the correct amount. I
How's that
don't
worked out for you?
feel eh,
Remember the one time it didn't
50-50.
work out very well for you?
Yeah, 50-50. Some materials are weird.
I check that first. I just check it first to make sure. But then from then on, I assume the extruder is extruding the right amount of material. So far,
Yeah. Like
you're
once the extruder steps per millimeter are good,
yeah.
that's fine. I will trust it is pushing the right amount of material, not necessarily based on how much the material swells up by.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm requesting 100 millimeters per second of filament movement, I want 100, not 99.7, which is the average of what Orca does. I will then go to retraction testing. So I will do a tower. I will replace the one that's in Orca Slicer with like 2 cylinders because they're bigger. You can use more material on those cylinders to stabilize retraction because you can get pressure spikes in the nozzle. And then I will do one very close by and one far away to see if there's an oozing component. If it's oozing, I lower the temperature. Lowering the temperature stops oozing. So I'll do that. But otherwise, I will start at 0 and I'll go at no more than 2 millimeters because I use direct drive. 2 millimeters
Yeah,
is
any
way too
more than
much.
two, it starts to get dangerous.
Yeah. I found anything between 0.4 and 0.8 is like the sweet spot for all direct drive. There's no real reason to go less unless you're trying to do a speed test where retraction is the time. Anything more than 0.8, you kind of just create air bubbles in the material. I also found retraction speed doesn't matter that much, like almost at all. Like I've tried from 20 millimeters per second retractions all the way up to 100. I haven't noticed much of a difference. I've tried that on pretty much every material now. So I just set a good speed for everything at roughly about 35. Then I will go to cooling, and depending on the material, it's either yay or nay. And I still, at this point, will not do a cooling tower. I do not do a temperature tower. I do not do a cooling tower. I do not see the point in it. There is almost zero benefit because bridging is not a function of temperature and it is not a function of cooling. It's a function of how well the material behaves, and every brand is different. So I won't bother with one of them. And that is how I dial in a material. And then I will do print testing and see if it's something else. But that is how I dial in a material.
Hmm.
Normally, it takes me about 2 to 5 kilos, I would say, to really run through. I've done it in a kilo, but that's before I do print testing. I normally then like to run print testing afterwards to guarantee the settings are right. And most of the time they're right. Sometimes it all comes down to cooling. That's the last thing that we don't really calibrate for when we're doing flow rate and pressure advance and all that, because they're small things. So if you've got overhangs, cooling will be the big one. But other than that, that's how I dial a material in. What about you? What do you do?
So mine's a little bit different because I don't make machines. So for us to dial in materials 99 times out of 100, we have a base profile to start with, right? So instead of like going through all this stuff, I will print an object that I know its dimensions, I know how fast it should print, and we start messing around with settings. So we will start with stock, we will start adding speed until we start to notice degradation in print quality. We will remove cooling to see if that helps. If it doesn't, we bring the cooling back. We will then at some point eventually do max flow rate. Like for the PETG testing that we did recently, that was where we were really messing with max flow rate. Traditionally, I don't go that deep into max flow rate because while speed is a big deal, 10 minutes is not the difference of like a big deal for us. We would rather have consistency in place. We will always play with temperature. Similar to you, we will go up to the upper edge. I normally will go a little bit above that, but we do start with a temp tower, which is interesting.
You start with a temp
We do
tower.
start with a temp
Does
tower.
it work for you though?
It does, but we also do temp towers. So we start them and we mark it. So this is 0 day. We then do one at 1 month and 3 months.
Okay.
If we have it still, we'll do one at 6 months. This helps us understand water uptake and how much stringing that we get. Do we need to dry this material? Is it okay being out in the open air? And if it is, how long until it isn't?
That's interesting. So I never generally do moisture testing in any way. I don't even
Florida.
care about stringing for half of this sort of stuff. I will test wet PETG, even though I know it's wet, without doing anything to it. Like I will do dry PETG because that's what you're hoping to use. But if it's wet PETG, I've not noticed much of a difference in terms of flow rate or pressure advance, other than the surface quality goes to shit.
Um, we notice surface quality, but you also get some interlayer bonding issues, obviously, because you're dealing with instantly boiling the water that's in the filament, causing it to look and sound like Rice Krispies. I see it as more of just like an overall problem with the material. And if you're using like some of the silicon carbide nozzles or these weaker hardened nozzles, that cavitation can cause damage to the nozzle. So you got to be
Didn't
careful with that
realize.
kind of stuff too. Um, when we look at high flow versus regular flow, we will install a high flow nozzle, run a regular flow print, and just start cranking up the speed until it starts to run into problems. Once it starts to run into problems, we do the calculation, figure out what that should bring us. We drop 20% off of that. We plug that into Slicer, and we do the same test over and over and over again until we start to run into very obvious limits. We drop 20%, and that's where we land as a shop profile. Personal machines and shop machines are very different for me. My personal machines, I will spend tons of time getting them like effing accurate, like 50 micron accurate with Mitutoyos on FDM. Like, and it's doable. You can do it. It does not take a lot of effort, but it often means that you have to lower your speed a lot. For personal things, I like to mess around. I like to have fun. So I don't care too much. For business class stuff, unless they mention that they have a very specific, like, table that they need in terms of accuracy and quality, we don't bother. It's not worth it to us. We will just run machines that are close enough. If they are out of spec and we know they're out of spec, we want them to be out of spec large, not out of spec small. I can bore out holes, I can sand down parts, I cannot make a large hole smaller. unless it is at least by a diameter of a nozzle, right? Where I can make a sleeve that fits in it. So for us, a lot of it is more about reliability than it is getting everything perfect, right? And so Titan 3D is saying that Microforge is world class in accuracy with laser
Oh,
micrometer
I'm getting an
scanning every
email up.
layer and on-fly adjusting. Slowest machines I've ever seen, though. That is only on the X7 and above. That is with their blacksmith software, and you're paying $70,000 to get that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yes, they're going to give you absolutely amazing quality parts. If you are trying to get parts that clean, post-machine them and don't worry about it. Done. Like, I don't have to deal with it if I just post-machine it and I'm done.
I am
To me,
trying
that's
to
better.
find a thing now. I have a white paper coming out very shortly, which is done by a third-party lab. So it's done by Warwick Manufacturing Group, where they have X-ray and CT scanned Mark Forged prints, as well as some Stratasys prints and Raise 3D and us for tolerance control. And the one thing that was really surprising, Forge suck. They suck really
The
bad.
Mark II is not going to be great, but the X7 is actually quite. The X7 and above are quite good because they will dynamically adjust G code to get the part in spec. It is super cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Defy 3D said, not wanting to plug anything, but I found the Vector 3D cauliflower to be fantastic for dimensional calibration. I have statistically always used the Benchy. People use the Benchy for the way that it looks. I use the Benchy with a pair of calipers, and it handles most of what we need. I like the cauliflower. We have standardized well before the cauliflower existed using the Benchy, and I've never taken the time to really build a new process with the cauliflower, but I do agree that the cauliflower is a good model. It is not a free model. So you have to be knowledgeable of that. It is not a free model. However, I think it's well worth, I think it's like $5 to support Adam and Vector 3D and the work that he does. So, otherwise, cooling, we like to give more cooling than manufacturers specify. So PETG, most manufacturers are like, oh yeah, 30 to 40, maybe 60% for bridging. Nah, 100. I just run it. I run PETG with PLA cooling.
I tend to only ever run 0 or actually, I don't ever run 0. I run 30% or 100, nothing in the middle.
I will often run in the middle. And with Purchase Slicer, you can do that dynamic fan speed control for overhangs, which I do like. And you can also use the dynamic temperature, or not dynamic temperature, dynamic speed. Those are really, really convenient. And I think that as the slicers have gotten better, I am having to do less and less and less and less because the slicers are dealing with a lot of the crap that I have to deal with. Yep. So it makes my life a little bit easier. And I dig it. Titan's saying that X7 and up measure singular micron precision, and with Onyx Filament, they've measured repeatability sub 20 micron on up to 20-inch parts using an FX10 and an FX20. Those machines are so expensive, if you have to ask how much they are, you can't afford it. Yes, you can get that kind of accuracy with dynamic G-code adjustment. That is one of the things that Markforged does right. So,
I have found the research paper, so I'm gonna throw it up. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the one. There we go. So this is the research paper.
None of us can read that.
I will zoom. There we go. So the important thing is, this is all public. There's no worries about this. It's all being publicized anyway because it's a research paper. It has to be public. So we scanned it correctly. Here is software. Here is equipment. Here is like the testing data. You can pause the video later if you really wanted to have a look. The long and short of it is we have surface deviations, estimated surface deviations, based on the data set. So you can go down and you get lovely CT scans of the parts. Now, this is before we had input shaping,
Well,
so
that
you
looks
will
like
notice there's a
Control
bit of
X,
vibration.
where it's showing you deviation based on Control X, but I could be wrong.
It might be. The software used is Metatron OS on a
Never
whatever
heard of
that is.
it.
Neither have I. But the long and short of it is blue means small, red means over extruded.
Yep.
And that is pretty good. They print 3 models of a Benchy in 3 different orientations. So this is orientation 1, orientation 2, and orientation 3 on our machines. And then you end up with a nice overall uh, value of whatever they say here, which is very good. So we're looking at, and these are all in millimeters as well. So the maximum surface deviation of a C1 is 50 microns roughly.
It's pretty good.
We can go down to, I believe the next one is, no, that's an end of 3. End of 3 was actually surprisingly good. Like, look at that. That's clean
I mean,
for an end
for
of
a
3.
$100 machine.
Yep. Now keep that in mind. That's a $100 machine. And then we'll go to Mark IV. So this is the Mark II. 1.8 millimeters of deviation.
Yeah. And that's going to be, I think, a lot. Yeah, it's small. It's the nylon shrinking.
That it cannot deal with it. So you've
It's
got
the nylon
extrusion
shrinking.
and under extrusion. You've got a cooling issue because they couldn't cool to save their lives. It is a nightmare. And they did it in 3 different orientations, and it just got worse. It got worse and worse and worse. And it got so bad they maxed out the equipment trying to like get the colors because they didn't expect it to be as bad as it was.
Yeah.
And obviously Prusa Mark III, which is gorgeous. There's a reason they were the golden boy
Yep.
because they do a bloody good job. Like, what was the tolerance?
They're
on
the
that?
they're the 90s Corolla of 3D printer.
48 microns.
48?
Like 48 microns
from a
Mark III.
8-bit controlled 3D printer.
Yeah, like this is why Prusa deserve all the respect. Like, look how consistent that is. That is amazing. Though it does print quite slow because there's no input shaper on a Mark III.
Right.
But it's a very consistent print. And then obviously Ray's 3D, which was surprisingly good, 57 micron. There you go. Like,
so
it was quite good.
When is this paper going to be available?
It should have been available a couple months ago, but they sent it to us as a docx, like a Word document, not a PDF. So now it's a PDF. We just need to upload it to the website and then it's fully available. You can always request it from WMG. They have to give it to you because it's finished. It's publicized. Oh yeah, and then you can actually see when filament gets stuck to stuff, which is cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And then Ultimaker, which is awful. 1 millimeter of deviation. They just couldn't print a good printer at all. Like, holy shit. It looks good, and then it's just really off in sizing. Like the scale was just wrong for everything they did. There you go.
Cool.
Research. This is how we realize the quality of machinery. And it's not by patting ourselves on the back, it's by actually validating everything.
Yeah, claiming that you can do 5 micron precision and proving it are two very different things in this industry. Yeah, things are different in the higher end world, but that doesn't mean that your lower end machines are not capable of really good detail if you're willing to take the time to put it in there. You know, dialing in printer speeds, especially your outer perimeters, to deal with die swell and just material properties, especially when we're talking about some of these copolymers and copolyesters where there's a filler that can change the way that the material itself flows. This matters so much more than people think. So much more than people think. And I have a lot of faith that as this industry matures, there is going to be a new standard set for what we expect from our raw materials and a way to delineate non-raw, like copolymers and copolyesters of what should be raw materials. That would, to me, be ideal.
Yep. The material science of printers is the next wave of technology in my eyes. Like, as much as index is actually kind of the coolest thing that's coming to in like the industry, if we ignore that single piece of technology, we've kind of hit the plateau of equipment. Like, we can't really make software better because we are trying to figure out materials. Then we can work out how to make software better. So once we figure out materials, that's where it starts to become more and more popular. Like the new wave of PPA, PPS, and PPSU is kind of like the coolest thing because it's heavy engineering polymers on regular machines. It's not Ultim, it's not Peak. It's this kind of hybrid of almost at the same level, but much easier to work with. So I see it as that. I see it as that.
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't really bother. I just run stock profiles. Stock profiles should be good enough, right? We like to tune things because it's fun, and you can certainly get more performance out of it. Prusa is probably the biggest offender of this, in my opinion, where their like stock profiles are way worse than what their machines can possibly do.
Yep.
But it's fun. Titan's asking if anyone's played with Tullimer. I have some. It's awesome. I love it. And it's really expensive.
I will be hopefully getting my hands on some eventually. I want a profile made for C2 because that is the perfect machine to put it on. I will eventually get around to doing it.
I can connect you.
First, I think I already have connections, to be fair. We asked them originally before C2 was done, and the answer was, your machine is probably not good enough. So now we have a machine good enough. It will be maybe a different question. Also, this is Mum we're talking about. Mum knows everyone. She's going to find a way how to get something.
That's fair. I met one of the original founders of Z Polymers randomly, so it's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I got that. But yeah, I don't do it anywhere near as, like, I'm more concerned about moisture uptake than anything else, because I know that worst comes to worst, I can default to regular speeds and then just modify machines as they're running. But yeah, moisture's so much more of a concern for me because I want to know, how do I have to store the material? Because that fundamentally changes how much of it we maintain in inventory at any given time. Because the less moisture it uptakes, the more I can hold in inventory without it degrading. So that's how I see it. Anything else other than reminding these fine folks, check out the sponsors, like, subscribe, get merch. $10 tier and higher means they can come hang out with us. And then we got to give away some filament. Anything else?
That's everything. We've covered how to choose your material, how to dial it in, the really cool looking FiberSeek machine. Also what like choices of material are available. If you think you know what material you want, you're probably wrong. Look at the list again and then choose. Don't choose your material first. Choose it after you identify why you're using it.
Yep.
Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. We've covered everything.
Works for me. You guys have any questions, leave them in the chat for us. But yeah, thank you all for coming out, enjoying the show, and listening, hanging out with us. If you're listening back audio only, hope you've enjoyed as well. Don't forget to rate on Spotify, iTunes. That's still a thing? I don't know. Help us. We are trying to make this show a... what's the right term? We're trying to make the show self-sustaining.
We're constantly trying to improve the show. We want it to be its own standalone bastion of knowledge for YouTube. And we can only do that if we keep getting feedback from guys like you.
Knowledge, but also fun. We want it to be fun. Because if it's not fun, we're not going to do it.
You know what we haven't talked about today?
Food. Yeah.
Food.
And
we're not going to. So it's going to stop them from getting the food hankering. It's going to be for next week.
You know what? The food gets in the Discord this time. We'll talk about food in the Discord.
Food in Discord. I have food I can talk about.
I don't. Not a lot. Oh, wait. I think I do. Although Amber's going to probably talk about it more than I will. Anyways.
In the Discord, $10 tier or higher.
Yeah.
Join us.
$10 tier and higher. Come hang out with us in the Discord. give the good old PBS outro. Oh God, I forget it. Oh yes, this episodes like these. Oh wait, hold on. I gotta get close to the mic for this one. Episodes like these are supported by the gracious donations of viewers like you. I think that was the PBS outro.
I don't know. 'Cause I'm
R.I.P.
not American.
PBS. But yeah, Jacob, you want to
Go
you want
on
to take us out?
then.
You want to take us out?
So, for everyone watching, thank you very much for listening to us rant on about materials, probably the driest subject we ever touch on, and I love it way too much. I get way too happy when we talk about material science. But thank you for joining us. Make sure you all stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Because you're awesome. You are. You
Most of the
really
time.
are. No, all the time. Everyone's awesome that watches us, especially if you survived 3.5 hours to get to us.
It's true.
So yeah. But yeah, stay safe out there.
All right. Let's give away some filament. Gotta turn off all the recordings. I think we're only gonna do. Oh,
that was the wrong button.
That was the wrong button.
The worst thing is I was still recording me, unrecording that.
Beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
Love it. Gotta love it.
All right, let's turn off responses. Let's get the form sorted A to Z. And A to Z for dates, because I have to start on the 10th. Mad Max was the first, and pirate printing was the last that got in this time. That was I like episodes like that. There was somebody asking when we're gonna have more guests. It all kind of depends. We've looked at doing guests, but at the same time, y'all don't show up when we have guests. So
that is true.
It's like, well, what the hell do you want us to do if like we're putting in all this effort to bring in a guest and we have like half the viewership that we normally have? Like, what do you what do you expect us to do? Yeah, guys, tell us how many spools you want in the chat. That's our first winner. We'll see if they actually reply. So let's get our second winner. I don't think I've ever seen this person in here before. Oh, that's July.
Oh, we're gonna find out.
Looking at the wrong one. The name does not ring a bell, so let me. Well, they got everything right. So if they're in the chat, they'll win. Let's see.
Vicious Narwhal, if you haven't received your spool yet, make sure you send Grant another message. They're all done manually, so things do slip through the gaps and things have a bit of a backlog.
I am still backlogged pretty heavily. We are still recovering from emails. From being on these emergency projects for a few weeks. It's been rough. And who was our last one? Let me see. They won already this month, so I need to respin. That one. Let's respin the wheel. That's not a name I recognize. I don't think they've won this month. Let's see. There he is. Okay. Has not won. Did the math wrong. Okay, never mind. And see, this is why I don't say people's names anymore, because I'll say their name and then I'll check to see if it was right. So sorry, people. Not everybody. You got to do the math right. Let's see where this one is. Okay. We got another one. All right. That's all that we have. Please DM me on Discord. Please DM me on Discord so that you guys can get the prizes. I'm going to try to do some during our patron hangout here. But let's... I haven't changed the math since started watching. Yeah, we've never changed the math.
Yeah, do you know why? Grant can't do math. He only knows one equation, and that's it. It's
true. I don't know anything. We're going to go send you guys to go hang out with Mr. Steve Builds, so go say hi for us. And if you are in the Discord, jump in the Hangout channel, because we will be in there in just a minute or two. We'll see you all later.
Toodaloo, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Like, subscribe, and things.
Do it. Give a sudden like boost just before the stream ends.
Yeah, right before the stream ends.
YouTube hates it.
Right now. Do it now.
YouTube hates it. Do it. Do it because you hate YouTube. Do it.
See ya.